Yes. We have a great mayor. I disagree with him on some things, but
Yeah, go ahead.
he puts a lot of effort into that position.
You talking about Silvestrini?
No. Thank you. What's that?
Great city manager there too.
What's his name again?
Mike, I think.
You know what? I recall going on a trip with him a long time ago.
You were the mom of the trip. You were the only one married.
I was too. It was so funny. I was also probably like second to the youngest of the group too.
But just because you were married.
I thought I was the older one. Yeah. I thought I
You're
was
just more
older.
mature.
So funny. Marriage test.
Signature.
Clerk, are you ready? Oh, she can. Clerk, are you ready to go? Ready? Are you doing this one? No. Oh, so we're just switching. Okay. Okay. Let me know when you're ready.
Is there more than one?
You're ready to go? Okay, perfect. Sorry, I didn't get that cue. I'm so sorry. Okay. All right. Okay, welcome everyone. This is the meeting for the Salt Lake County Board of Equalization meeting for Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. And I call this meeting to order. We'll start with public comment, and this is just for the Board of Equalization meeting for this item. So I know there's quite a few people in the room, and if you're here to comment on county council items, we'll get to that. So thank you. Okay, public comment on Board of Equalization in the room or online. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item 3.1, acceptance of BOV minutes for April 15th, 2025.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion by Board Member Bradshaw, second by Board Member Harrison. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Moving on to item 4.1, approval of assessor and hearing officer recommendations. Our presenter is Brad Neff, tax administrator.
Yes, we have a total count of 361 parcels for which we have made recommendation. We seek approval of those recommendations.
Okay, any questions or comments for Brad?
I'll move approval.
Okay,
Second.
okay. Motion by Board Member Stringham, second by Board Member Winder Newton. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Okay, moving on to item 5.1, significant adjustment. Again, presenter Brad Neff.
We have a total count of 2. I'm happy to answer any questions about those significant adjustments. Otherwise, we seek approval of them.
Okay, questions for Brad? Okay, seeing none, entertain a motion.
Motion to approve. I'll second.
Okay, motion by Board Member Pinckney, second by, is that right?
Harrison.
Oh, Harrison, I'm so sorry.
No, you're
I couldn't
fine.
see you down there. Thought it was you. Second by Board Member Stringham. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Okay, item 6.1, late appeals, presenter Brad Neff again.
Yes, we have 2 of them. One, the recommendation is to accept because it meets the tax commission guidelines, and the other is a recommendation of denial because it fails to meet those guidelines.
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve by Board Member Stewart, second by Board Member Bradshaw. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Okay, 7.1, request for continued exemptions with no change and use.
Yep, we have a list of 4 pieces of real property and 8 personal property for continued exemption. And I would ask the board to approve that attached list.
Okay. I'll just note that our presenter on that is Chris Harding, our Salt Lake County Auditor. And entertain a
Madam
motion.
Chair, move to approve 7.1.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Board Member Bradshaw, second by Board Member Stewart. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Okay, moving on to 7.2.
This is just an updated list of our intent to revoke those who haven't filed. And we seek the board's approval for that list.
Okay,
How many, sorry, I'm trying to pull it up. How many did we get down to?
21.
21.
21? I guess that's not bad.
So
Well, it
oh,
says-
the list
as
is
of-
down to 9
Nine.
organizations. that have
9
now.
is where we're at now,
Nine,
isn't
okay.
it?
Looks like 9.
Sorry, it was 21.
So 9.
9.
Yeah. Okay.
Move to approve.
Okay.
I'll s-
Second.
There you go.
Who was the second? Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, motion by Board Member Bradshaw, second by Board Member Harrison. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes and we adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Public comment.
Are we sharing these?
Okay,
Another.
so
Okay.
the bucket-
Is there
Start
more?
out right. This is right.
This isn't even a complete. No, it's not.
Oh, it's highlighted here.
Oh, it's just a portion.
Oh, okay. Just, okay, got you. Okay. I'm like, wait. All right. Are you ladies ready? You good? Okay, you ready? Okay, perfect. Okay, welcome to the Salt Lake County Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, April 29th, 2025, and I call this meeting to order. We will start out with a pledge of allegiance given by Councilmember Sheldon Stewart.
All rise. Please repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you for that. We will then move into our public comment. And I will just say, if you are here to speak on behalf of item, let's see, sorry, 9.2, if you can hold your comments till that public hearing comment is open. If you want to comment on any other item, this is the time to do it. And when you come up, just please say your name, address for the record, and you have 3 minutes. So we'll open a public comment at this time. Yeah, this one is great, Mayor. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you all. Trent Staggs, Riverton City Mayor. You said the address as well. I'll give you my, no. It was about 3 years ago when I came before this body and we talked about an initiative to fund what we call our Greenwell project. And thankfully, the county council voted in support of that 9-0. And so just the other week, we had the opportunity to do a ribbon cutting with that Greenwell. And I just wanted to share a few points with you. I know Mayor Wilson was there in attendance, but we had many of you that were busy, had other commitments, and so wanted to be able to share some of these figures with you. But by using the ARPA funding for this Greenwell of about $3 million, we're able to create one of the most sustainable water resources we believe in the southwest part of the valley. The history of the Greenwell quickly is that back in 2011, it was drilled, it was established, but then because of the hardness of that water, we ended up pivoting to the Conservancy District for a source of our culinary water. And it hasn't been active since 2015. But with your help and investments from, again, the America Rescue Plan funds, we were able to build a $3 million nanofiltration system. That matched the city's investments roughly of 2.1 in the Greenwell in its initial establishment, and about 600,000 of our ARPA funding as well. So this is going to allow, I think it's a win-win. It helps our city substantially and also the county. You see there that instead of charging the River Bend Golf Course, a county asset you have, cost plus 10% at $524 an acre foot, you'll be in the low $200 range. This well has at least a 20-year life, and most estimates are seeing it upwards of 50 years. But this next slide, you can get a sense of how deep that well goes. And it's going to be producing, we think, minimally 1.4 million gallons a day. We have current infrastructure in place that can deliver that water throughout the city and to the River Bend Golf Course. You can see in this Greenwell water supply area slide that it's roughly half our city that is going to receive this water. And over 20 years, we think that savings to the county is going to be in excess of $2.6 million. So this is a great partnership, and I didn't want to take too much time, but I just wanted to say thank you. Mayor Wilson, in her comments, indicated this is perhaps one of the most innovative projects that you've been able to see in partnership with the city, and I really appreciated those comments. This is something that we want to continue, this type of cooperative partnership, and we're grateful. So on behalf of my city, the city council, we wanted to come here and say thank you for appropriating that funding, that ARPA funding, not just for this project, but we've also had some TRCC funding that helped us with our Riverton City Community Center and Civic Plaza. And so, again, we're grateful, and we wanted to leave with you these details. If any of you want to see the project, just let me know. We're happy to take you on a tour of this facility. And then we have a little bit of a token of our appreciation. I know you get probably lots of random stuff as elected officials. We felt like this was it's a city or mayor's medal embedded in a little case that you can put in your office, and just thanking you for your partnership on the Greenwell. We have this for you, and then of course some of your colleagues that were on the council a couple of years ago. They're no longer on the council, and thanking them for their support. So again, please reach out anytime.
Great, thank you, Mayor, for being here and that update on that project. That's really awesome.
It's on the top.
Thank you, Mayor Staggs.
That's Carlos.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I mean, I know we normally don't give a response to public comment, but I do want to thank the mayor and the council and council members who joined as well for the launch. I do think of all the projects we were able to fund out of ARPA funding, this is the most innovative, and I appreciate the vision of Riverton City and bringing it to us, and appreciate the council and the mayor. And it's really kind of you to take the time to come to us. That means a lot to us as well. So thank you very much, Mayor.
All right, thanks for being here and sharing the details of that project. Sorry some of us couldn't make it. There was another event going that day too, so I think we were a little bit split, so some soccer or something. So anyway, thank you. Okay, anybody else in the room that would like to give public comment at this time, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Yes. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
Great.
Jim Visock, 5491 West Lockwood, West Valley City, the great city of West Valley City. I'm here simply to invite everybody to our Spring Fest Saturday, May 3rd, starting at 4 to 7. It's something we do annually, Clean and Beautiful Committee, and it'd be great to see county council members there. It's kind of intimidating city. I speak regularly before city council. Several of you guys have seen me there, and it's kind of intimidating, but the room is a lot smaller than it looks on TV too. So if you guys can make it out, it'll be fun. That's all I have.
Where's the location for that,
At
Jim?
the Utah Culture Center.
Oh, it is at the
Yeah,
Cultural
it used to
Center.
say, yeah.
Okay.
We moved it there, and it'll be throughout the whole building this year. It'll be one of our biggest ones.
Okay.
And we're actually getting a lot of press from Fox. So,
Awesome. Well, thank you.
So it'd be great to see you.
And it's from 5 to 7, you said?
4 to 7.
4 to 7. Okay, let me make sure I have that on my calendar. Thank you.
Yeah, it'd be great to see you. Thank you.
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us that information on that event. Maybe some of you can attend, but sounds fun. Okay, anybody else here to give public comment? Hi,
Just
welcome.
welcome. Thank you. Thank you for your time and good afternoon as well. Okay, my name is Dina Long. My address is 4977 South Law, Contessa. Okay, so the reason I'm here today is there was an incident at West Jordan Library. And what I'm talking about is American taxpayers are waking up to the wasted and abused taxes. You got the council. And I went to have lunch with my husband at the library. He was troubleshooting the wiring to the controller for the irrigation. As well, I was interested in scheduling the Viridian for a baby shower in July. So it was kind of a multi-purpose visit. I passed by the library sign in the courtyard to the main entrance. And the library sign was so filled with weeds, you could barely see the library sign. Now, West Jordan Library is in the city of West Jordan City. And in the whole area of that is the West Jordan City building, the district court, and all that. But yet you have Salt Lake County property with weeds higher than the 12 inches, which is their code, which is 5319E, would be their violation. And I'm sure you guys all agree that maybe these cities should, or these county buildings should not be out of municipality ordinances. But moving on to this, once this was kind of a bother to me because it's like, there's a lot of money going into the library system. And not only the library system, but throughout Salt Lake County with employees and everything else. This incident occurred that when I was driving by, the library sign, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, it's a very large sign. It's lifted above grade. It was, I'm sure, a big value was spent on making the sign, which you can't even see because the weeds are taller and in great abundance. So I pulled over, went ahead and started pulling the sign, pulling the weeds. Another patron came out and said, oh, yeah, they have a lot of weeds around here. Actually, the whole entire courtyard is filled with weeds. I'm like, I don't work here. So I pointed over to the guy that actually worked for the Salt Lake County Library, sitting on a bucket that just got back from lunch in the shade. The bucket is to be used to pull the weeds in the bucket. He chose just to sit on the bucket. So I took my big bundle of weeds and handed it to him. This ain't my job, is what he said. I go, do you get paid salary? Do you have benefits? Then it is. He says, what business is it of yours anyway? Well, I'm thinking since my taxpayer dollars, especially after April 15th, this is not a good time to mention this to anybody. So I'm like, okay, wait. So my husband does work for Salt Lake County Library. He was actually the one that was working on the wiring to do the controller. So I went in after this discussion and spoke with the manager. Vern actually got back to me later. His behavior was, let's tack the person making a complaint. So I informed him this is inappropriate. They try to bring my husband into it as if, because I'm his wife, somehow I don't have a voice. And I didn't approve of that as well. The way I'm looking at it and the understanding of what is going on, it's not just Salt Lake County Library. I'm dealing with the health department right now and their Division of Safety and Environment.
Dina, we're past our 3 minutes, and I hate to cut you off, but we have a really heavy agenda today. But I do have some member of our team who can address your issues right
Can you
outside the
just
door.
give me a quarter of a second?
Sure.
Okay, the biggest concern is this person is costing taxpayers above and beyond $100,000. We can utilize his value, move it to somebody who we have problems with purchasing good employees at Salt Lake County because their wages aren't that high. You offer benefits. but we are not getting the great employees. So we have employees that are sitting on buckets. Salt Lake County has, health department has problems with their employees. We're tying the administration's hands way too much that aren't releasing these employees that need to be released. Is there any way we can facilitate a better, faster removal of these people so we don't have them for 2 or 3 years while they're costing taxpayers dollars, 100,000 here, 100,000 there, 100,000 here for an employee that's not even doing their job? Is there a possibility of that?
We don't usually reply to public comment right now during this session, but I do have a team member who can assist you.
I would love to
So,
chat with that.
Is that okay? Thank you for your concerns and your comments, and I'm sure they will be addressed appropriately. Thank you.
Right
This
here
is
in the
Bobby
back.
right there. He's got his hand up. Thank you so much. Okay, anybody else in the room that would like to give public comment at this time? Anybody online? Okay. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item 3, report of elected officials. Council members, county council members, anybody have a report to give at this time?
I do.
Okay, Councilmember Stringham?
Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling met yesterday and went over their budget and what's happening with what we're doing there. We're seeing some of the costs of fuel finally going down a little bit, which is a huge help. And we're seeing a change from CNG vehicles and diesel to diesel vehicles as well has saved the organization some money. So we're grateful of that, and they're just continuing to give good service and to work hard. So that's my report for this week.
Great, okay, Councilmember Under Newton?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Can
thought
I
you
go
pointed me.
Suzanne and
Go
then
ahead,
Sheldon?
Under
Is that all
Newton.
right?
Yeah, that's great.
I just wanted to mention that 7 of us of the 9 got to go see the Other Side Village last week, and such a great community to learn about how they're helping people who have been homeless or have had other struggles be able to get jobs and be employed and have homes that they can live in. And anyway, just a really great system that they've got there. And I know probably others want to comment on that too. So I won't say more than that. I'll leave it to others to fill in more gaps there. But also just wanted to mention that Senator Curtis had invited me to be at a roundtable on energy development. And so I got to represent the county there. We had another county commissioner from Utah County there as well, along with some legislators and others. And you know, one of the things that I made the comment is we had people from the energy sector, and I just said, hey, as you look to do these projects, we recognize that that sometimes it sounds easier to bypass local government, but it's really important that you keep local government involved in what you're doing and allow us to be able to still be able to communicate with you on projects. But we do recognize that sometimes there's a lot of red tape, and we can probably do better at helping some of these projects move and look at the issues with bureaucracy or permitting or other things like that can help. So anyway, just wanted to mention that as well.
Great, thank you for that report. Okay, Councilmember Stewart?
You can go ahead if your hand was up first.
All right. Whoever wants
Just
to go.
quickly, several of us were able to attend the Nihon Matsuri Japantown Festival this weekend. The weather was great. It was really fun to celebrate the contributions and culture of the Japanese community in Utah. Myself, Councilmember Romero, Councilwoman Stringham, and Theodore were able to join, and probably others too. So it was really a fun and wonderful festival. Just also wanted to mention I was able to attend a ribbon cutting for a trail expansion along the Jordan River and a new boat launch in Mill Creek, which the county helped fund. And it's just another way for people to affordably get out there and have fun and enjoy nature. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I want to just take a minute and thank Mayor Wilson, especially for her comments at the Greenwell. I know we kind of hit it before, but it was really nice hearing her talk, as well as Mayor Staggs, related to that project. I remember being a council member trying to get that project done, and just to kind of hear that cooperation, I really wanted to thank Mayor Wilson for the comments. I want to thank the council too, but really Mayor Wilson did a good job summarizing the county's participation in that, and I appreciate it. The other thing too is this week will be the 1-year anniversary of my mother passing and losing my father this last year. And I want to thank the Adult and Aging Services. If it wasn't for them, we would have not known what to do with my mother. And I just am looking back at that, and I wanted to thank that group. It means a lot to me. There were some things we were struggling with. We didn't know how to deal with them. Dementia is a really bad thing. I hope none of you ever have to deal with that. But that group, there was so many people, and my dad, I know before he passed, expressed his appreciation too for what they did to help with my mother. So just wanted to tell that group thank you as I start reflecting on my mother this time of year. So thank you.
Thank you for that report. Yes, Ross.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As asked by the council, also reporting on UPACA's attendance. A very good year. There were 418,000 people that went through the Eccles Center. There are a lot of programming that exists over the summer months that I particularly wanted the community to know is there for them. They're generally free to the public. And they also have the ability, if you have certain economic need, to attend the Broadway in Utah series. And so really trying to make sure the venue, the programming, the building is accessible to the residents of Salt Lake County. So appreciated that opportunity, appreciate the work they do, and wanted to report to the council.
Great, thank you.
I just had an update from being on the library board. Yesterday, we appreciated some volunteers that go to our county branches and help out. So I wanted to just, on the record, show my appreciation for all the volunteers on the library board. And this Saturday, May 3rd, at the Granite Branch, there'll be May Fest, so you can see the butterflies be released. So if you want to stop by, please do, and then go to the West Valley Center for their celebration right after. That's it.
Okay, thank you for that report, Councilmember Pinckney. I'll just give a brief report. A lot of the things that I was going to talk about have been discussed. It was a really busy week, and I just want to say thank you all for your participation. I don't think we've had that many council members going on all these events and meetings. It's been really good to see everyone out collaborating and just learning about our county and how we can do better and, come up with ideas and efficiencies for our county. So it's been really good. But we did visit the tiny home, the Other Side Academy, which is doing great work in the community. Appreciate all that they're doing and their invite for having us out. District Attorney's Office, that's one that didn't get mentioned, but most of us were there, and that was a great tour. I always learn something new when I go, and I appreciate Sim Gill and his team for always being willing to answer our questions and accommodate us. So thank you. And then I did have Animal Services Board, Advisory Board, which is a really important part of our county as well. And if you've never been to our shelter, I encourage you to go if you are looking for cat, dog, bunny, or sometimes reptiles. But a couple of the things that were brought up in our meeting, number one is dog walkers, mostly commercial dog walkers, and how a lot of those are going off leash. So we want people to keep their dogs on leash, especially when you have 6+ dogs sometimes. There's just no way you can contain that many dogs and keep a safe community or environment. So we encourage everyone to keep your dogs on a leash, regardless of the number that you have, unless it's an off-leash area, obviously. And then we did talk about microchips. I did a little video about it, and it was kind of popular, but I just want to say that microchips, someone had said, hey, you're using taxpayer dollars for that, but it's actually not. These are designated donations to microchips. So it's a really nice bonus for our county to have this options in our community. So microchipping is really important. If you have lost pet, the likelihood of them returning back to you with a microchip is just increased. So it's a good thing to do. And I think that's it. Yeah, go adopt. So thank you. And if there's no other comments from council, I'll turn it over to our county mayor.
Well, thank you. Excellent comments. A few more to add. First of all, Animal Services has yet again won the Best of State Award, and that recognition will be awarded at the Best of State Awards Gala on Tuesday, June 10th. So if any of you are free, let me know, and we'll make sure you have a seat. Your comments, council member, regarding aging and adult services are much appreciated. And I'll share that last week there was a listening session. It was called a WISE listening session with state aging services at the Midvale Senior Center. It was incredibly well attended, and we're pleased that there was an incredibly robust discussion, and we had this incredible engagement between state and local around the governor's Aging Wise initiative. More good news, Salt Palace has received a LEED Gold certification. And for those of you that are enjoying touring, but those of you who have been on the council for a while, and then our new members as well, going out and seeing operations, I would encourage you to engage with the Salt Palace team and go and look at their sustainability efforts. Part of the reason for the LEED Gold certification is, whenever we build a new building, that's one of our requirements is that we have a LEED build, but this particular award is due to operations, and the Salt Palace does an incredible job at what we teach our kids: recycle, renew, and they pass on things that come in through our vendors that the vendors don't take home, and they find a way to reuse and benefit our community. So we're happy about that certification. And then for those of you who have been along the Mill Creek improvement journey for several years, we have another update, and that is that the construction on the Upper Mill Canyon Road Improvement Project has officially begun. So there will be limitations on public access on the road, but the upper portions of the canyon will remain open for trail access. And there is a trail map available at slco.to/flap, so you can go on and kind of get more specifics on that. And we're excited about this project. This is one that's been supported through federal funding and will create a connectivity for our residents to the canyon that's more sustainable in years to come. Switching gears a little to youth services, we are thrilled that the Milestone Transitional Living Program is on track to have 6 of their young adults graduate high school this year. And if you'll indulge me, I'm going to read a little bit about these kids because it's heartwarming, and it really does speak to the great work that youth services does on a daily basis. So one remarkable young adult has overcome dropping out of school and homelessness to become the valedictorian of her graduating class. After re-enrolling in an alternative high school, she worked tirelessly, starting her days at 5 a.m. with a bakery shift, attending school from 2 to 8 p.m., and finishing homework late into the night. She kept a rigorous schedule for 8 months and is now set to graduate on time. And she's excited to start college in the fall. So what an amazing story for those of you who have visited that site, to just see the commitment of the staff and support to a student like that, and most importantly, the dedication of a young person to making their futures so successful by commitment. Second one is another example of the kind of transformation our program helps people achieve. For those of you not familiar with the program, Milestone provides services for young adults at risk. Our goals are to provide them with safe housekeeping, stable employment, build skills to help them become self-sufficient. So that goal for all of our students and all of our young people is very vital to the mission of youth services, and I appreciate your support. Moving on, there is a growing demand for science education at Clark Planetarium, and it's due to its success. We see that this year we had record attendance. This last year alone, they've hosted 405 school groups and 44,575 students. That's a very specific count. I hope we counted every last one of them. Field trips are regularly available and they're booked to capacity. And we're thrilled that Clark Planetarium continues to focus on STEM education. It's an extra, more hands-on experience for our students throughout our various districts who are learning STEM, but to have the opportunity to engage with the planetarium and learn it firsthand is all the more meaningful to those kids, students, and families. So with that, I look forward to future conversations today on critical items on the agenda. I'll have more to say at a later date today, but I appreciate the time, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that report. Move on. Any other elected county officials like to give a report at this time? Oh, okay. I'm like, wait. Okay, then we'll move on to our consent items.
Madam Chair, I'll motion approval of the consent items 4.1 through 6.9.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve consent items. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Okay, that passes. And we will move right into our work session, starting with item 8.1. It's our proposed hire report, incentive plans, 3,000 and under weekly reclassification reports. And it's our council budget and policy analyst, Hua Wen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The last 2 weeks, we have 53 positions listed. We have 2 incentive plans in the DA's office for 3,000 each. The first plan is for the multi-line claims adjuster to assist in the transition of workers' compensation claim processing to the third-party administrator. For the second plan, so the DA typically uses senior level attorney with 13 years or more of relevant work experience to provide administrative oversight. But since they currently don't have enough senior level attorneys, so they are providing this incentive plan for a prosecuting attorney 3 to take on this responsibilities.
Okay.
Sorry, I was running
You're
from
fine.
the inside. We also have 3 reclassifications. The assessor's office reclassified an incumbent division HR coordinator to become an HR generalist, 2 grades higher. And animal services reclassified 2 vacant grant and communication coordinator positions to become 2 communication development coordinator positions, same grade.
Okay.
If the council has any question on those, I'm happy to answer. If
do have
not,
one
I'll
Questions
move
for
on.
Hua?
I do have
Yes.
one question.
Okay.
So on the DA's office one, the 3,000 where you're using a senior level attorney and they're performing additional supervisory duties beyond their current job description, is that a permanent addition to their job or is that just temporary for now?
I think that you recognize we've gone to a courtroom calendar lead.
Yes, I knew that.
And so we have approximately 16 calendars. We have 8 senior attorneys covering those positions, and we have the other 8 are individuals like this who are on incentive plans. So this is someone who had a senior attorney position, became vacated, was asked to take on the lead role in that calendar. This is not a permanent, they either at some point can become a senior attorney, but that rotates throughout the year, whether they've shown the aptitude to lead a team. So sometimes they're
So
renewed,
this is a
sometimes
temporary,
they're not.
gotcha.
It's an annual basis review
Yeah.
on who does it. Senior attorneys themselves, because it's in their job description, do not receive extra compensation. It's just these individuals who take on those extra duties that do.
I'm good with that. I just wanted to verify that. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Hua? Okay, move on. Item 8.2.
Yeah, budget adjustment 8.2, the ORD's office requests to recognize $100,000 in one-time revenue and expense for a qualified contractor to update the county's general plans to incorporate a water use and preservation element as required by Utah Code 17-27A-403. This is budget neutral because the MSD will reimburse all the costs.
And it is included in the current budget, just so you're aware.
Okay, any questions for Hua?
Motion
I'll
to
entertain a
approve.
motion. Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Okay, motion and a second. All in favor to approve 8.2, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes.
Thank
Okay,
you.
8.3.
8.3, so last year, the DA's office received a grant through the DOJ. This grant included a time-limited position, but since the DA couldn't find a right candidate for this position, they are requesting to transfer about $149,000 from personnel budget to operations to pay the UPD for providing an officer to fulfill the grant's obligation.
Okay. so
Move
we're
to
contracting. Good with that.
What?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second to approve item 8.3. Is there any questions before we do that? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that passes.
The last budget adjustment, 8.4, Parks and Rec requests $100,000 from the golf fund balance to replace the submersible transfer pumps and related components at Old Mill Golf Course. They actually plan to replace these pumps next year, but they have failed unexpectedly. So this become an exigency request.
Okay.
I'll move approval.
Okay. Second. Approve with a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll move on to item 8.5, presentation on the home visiting program. This is sponsored by Council Member Amy Winder Newton, and I am the second on this item, and our presenter is Cammie Peterson. Yeah, you bet.
I go first. Great. Is Cammie here?
Maybe. Yes.
Oh, good. As Cammie's coming up, I just wanted to say a few things about this. So as many of you know, my day job is I work for the governor doing family policy. And my charge is to look at upstream policy. How do we be more proactive or use prevention to try to prevent problems later, right? And for families and to strengthen families. And the first few months when I got into this position 2.5 years ago, and I started looking at what are the different things that we can do to help families? How do we prevent childhood trauma and child abuse and some of these things that then create problems later so that, you know, these kids as adults end up part of our criminal justice system or dealing with major health problems or other things like that. And as I started looking into these different things, home visiting was one of the things that really came to a focus of mine. And what home visiting is, and you'll hear more about this, but basically we have visitors who can come into the homes of people who have new babies, some of our vulnerable families, and help mentor them and do different things to help them, connect them to resources. And so I'm a huge fan of home visiting. My first legislative session working for the governor, I advocated for a pilot program that we would do to help serve more families, and a lot of the funding from the state trickles down to our county health department. And so anyway, it's been fun to go out on visits, and I've gotten to see the Parents as Teachers program and the Nurse Family Partnership. And this is something that's worthy of tax money to help prevent issues later that are going to be far more costly. And so anyway, I'm really excited that we have you presenting today on this. I also want to mention that we have, is this Alina? Okay, Alina, I haven't met you yet. Congratulations. Alina has won, she's been chosen out of all the home visitors nationwide. And keep in mind, this is a federal program as well. But she has been chosen as one of 5 home visitors of the year nationwide, which is just awesome. So anyway, big round of applause for Alina. And I have a letter. I just want to give you just a little congratulatory letter from the council. So I won't stop to read it because I want to give more time to Cammie for the presentation. But anyway, congratulations. We're really excited for you and appreciate the good work that you do. And with that, it'd be great to hear more about home visiting.
So we actually have 3 home visiting programs that we do in the Salt Lake County Health Department. I'm going to talk about the 2 evidence-based home visit programs that are more long-term. We also have early childhood targeted case management, which is a Medicaid program. So every child birth in July, it will change to 8, has the opportunity to have a nurse come to their home and link them, do a health assessment, and link them to resources in the community. So we see about 3,500 clients a year through that program. So that's a more short-term home visiting program. But is this a clicker here? So the first program we're going to talk about, down, okay, is the Nurse Family Partnership Program. And this program starts with first-time moms. This is the program that Alina participates in. The philosophy is that when you're a first-time mom, you are so excited to do everything right. It's a perfect time to change your trajectory for life. And so first-time moms, they have to enroll before the 29th week of pregnancy. They have to be at 185% of poverty or below. They're visited by registered nurses about twice a month from pregnancy until the child's 2. This program has 8 home visitors currently and a nursing supervisor. They're funded half by Intermountain Primary Promise through Primary Children's and half by the Maternal Infant Early Child Home Visiting Grant, the McPhee Grant, which is provided by the federal government. The Nurse Family Partnership is more of a medical model. And its goals are to improve pregnancy outcomes. So we start with early and adequate prenatal care, diet, talking about reducing harmful substances during pregnancy. They focus a lot on enhancing child health and development, doing competent, caring parenting. As you probably know, if your parenting doesn't come with a handbook, and sometimes other things in our society get more attention than supporting parenting in life. And then boosting the economic self-sufficiency of the family. A lot of this centers around planning your family, so you don't want to have kid upon kid upon kid. So planning your family, seeing how to budget, going back to school, completing your educations, these are all focuses that the nurse helps support the family in. And the philosophy of, NFP is that the parent is the expert, the person, the mom is an expert on her life, and we need to meet her where they are and support her. It deals a lot with motivational interviewing. It's a little bit different than traditionally just going out and educating. You let the mom tell you what they need from you, and then you support them in that process. So
Can I add one thing to that too? One cool thing about Nurse Family Partnership too is because they're watching over pregnancies, the amount of money the state saves in Medicaid costs because they help those pregnancies go to full term instead of having early pregnant or early delivery. It's a huge amount of savings that we save in Medicaid costs because of how they help those pregnancies progress.
Yeah. So if you know about medicine, the NICU is probably the most expensive tax to Medicaid, preterm baby that spends months in there. So the parents as teachers is more of educational model. Its philosophy is that the parents are the best and the first teacher, and that all children will develop, learn, and grow to realize their full potential. They serve all moms, not just first-time moms. So any pregnant woman, children under 3, and their eligibility financially is starts at 185% of poverty if you have one stressor, but goes up to 300% of poverty if you have another stressor. So stressors are things like a single mom, domestic violence, Child Protective Services interventions, substance use disorder, a whole gamut of things that could cause issues with the development of children. And then it's delivered by parent educators. These educators have bachelor's degrees, usually in early child education. It also has 2 months visits twice a month. And it goes from pregnancy up to 5. So you have to be in the program for 2 years for the model to show outcomes. So that's why you have to enroll by 3. One way it's different than Nurse Family Partnership is that they have group connections to have all the parents come together to increase their social connections and their support system. So that's one way it's a little bit different. It's funded by the McPhee Grant, the Infant Early Childhood Home Visitation Grant, and community-based child abuse prevention funds just a teeny part of it, like a half an FTE. And it's gonna we're gonna lose that funding in the end of June on the state contract fiscal year. But the McPhee Grant is gonna increase for the Parents as Teachers program, and we're going to add another supervisor and another parent educator. There's currently 10 parent educators in this program right now and 1 supervisor. So the goals of PAT are to do developmental centered parenting, screenings and assessments, age-related information like safety, sleep, health, nutrition, discipline, transitions and attachment, fostering positive parent-child interactions. So they usually bring an activity to do with the parent. They try to do it with things that they have around the house that the parent can easily incorporate into learning activities for their children. They focus on developmentally supportive interactions, and then they also focus on well-being. So there's with both programs, a high factor in protective factors. And I'm not know if you know what protective factors are, but there are knowledge of parenting and child development, social connections, concrete supports, resiliency, and then the one that affects the child is social and emotional competencies. And families that have all these strengths have better outcomes and less adverse interactions and less child abuse. So it focused really on the protective factors that we see. Self-sufficiency, again, is important, and strengthening relationships and recreation are important factors with PAT. So what are the outcomes? As Amy said, there's some really significant outcomes, but these are just a few of the outcomes. So reduced substance use during pregnancy, decreased child abuse and neglect, enhanced family protective factors, improved school readiness, performance and attendance, increased child self-regulation, better child health and development, and increased economic self-sufficiency and lower governmental costs for societal costs. So why is home visiting important? So human brain development has its most significant impact during pregnancy to about age 3. So this is where you're kind of hardwired for the rest of your life on your neural pathways, where you'll see the most development. And so when adverse things happen during this age of development, then it has lifelong impacts. So you're probably all familiar with the ACEs study, where things that happen in childhood can affect things like cancer, heart disease, obesity, all different kinds of aspects of health. So that's why it's important for us to provide intervention in this frame of time. And then the other thing is it's just a smart investment. High quality, comprehensive early childhood programs have about 13% return on investment. And you can see how the return on investment decreases as you get further down the scale of age. So if you're going to invest in a program, it pays to invest in these kind of early childhood interventions. You'll get anywhere from $2 to $6 return on investment for every dollar you invest. And that comes back to in decreased Medicaid costs, decreased costs to school systems, criminal justice, decreased costs. So that's why it's important to invest in these programs. So I just wanted, that's kind of the background of the statistical stuff, but I just wanted to share maybe one story about how these kinds of things impact families. So Nurse Family Partnership had a 14-year-old that was pregnant, had gotten kicked out of school. She had had a fight at school, was involved with the juvenile justice system. Her mother was deceased, and her father had left the country and left her with her 21-year-old brother, who wasn't really involved in her care. And so she was referred to the Nurse Family Partnership. And she was receiving no school services at the time. They were kicked out of school and they weren't doing anything to get her back in school. So the nurse went, and the first thing she did is she contacted the school district and got her home-based services until she had her baby. And then she advocated for them to pay for her learner's permit for her driver's license so she could drive herself to school and back so she could get back into school. She helped her with her son, which she was having some attachment issues with, and she was deciding whether to keep or not keep. And they worked through those attachment issues. She also helped her get a job, and she eventually graduated from high school, went on and got a degree in the criminal justice system, and actually was a speaker at a national conference. So you think back and see what would have happened to that 14-year-old if someone had invested that time in her to help her through that process. Maybe she would have never graduated from school. She may have had another baby and cycled into a cycle of generational poverty and use of social systems to help support her. So that's just one example. We've had other teenagers be the first teenagers to graduate from high school. We've had people learn how to save and budget enough so that they could buy a house. So there's multiple ways that this program helps people change their directory, not only for that family, but for their kids when their kids have kids. And one kid at a time will impact a lot of kids down the road. And one thing I just wanted to say about Alina is an exceptional home visitor, as you know, because she won the award. But this program traditionally only has, because you have to commit for at least 2 years. So that's a huge commitment for families to have somebody come into your house twice a month for 2 years and scheduling and all that. Over the past 5 years, she's had a 96% retention rate. And I just want to let you know that the national retention rate is only 36% for these programs. So she has a gentle kind of demure nature that connects with patients and kind of gently guides them in the direction they need to go. And they feel so valued by her. So she's just one of the great home visitors we have. We have exceptional programs in Salt Lake County, probably some of the best programs in Utah, and nationally, we really stack up with our reliability and our adherence to the models. So thank you for the opportunity and thank you for honoring Alina.
Yeah, thanks. Congrats, Alina. So great.
Oh, yes. Questions for Tammy?
Yeah, thank you for this presentation. Thank you also to fellow council member for bringing it to our attention. I served in the legislature and think this is really critical. I think people don't often know how to be parents, especially if you're a new parent, and so teach them these skills, teach them about shaken baby syndrome, which was always, traumatic and hard for community and for family. So thank you for the work you're doing. I guess the question I had is, how are you getting the word out to the community? Because I didn't know about this, and particularly for young teen moms to know this is a resource available to them.
So we do a lot of outreach with partners that we think probably could refer clients. So community health centers, a lot of OBs. We do a lot of community outreach events that are geared towards children, where we go and kind of talk to people. We try to connect with medical providers for referrals into the program. I mentioned, we deal with, we go to the alternative programs in the schools and talk to them about, maybe they have a client that may be appropriate for us to see. So those are some of the places that we get clients. Our TCM program, our early targeted Medicaid program, often refers to our PAT program, and we get a lot of referrals from that resource if a nurse goes out and sees the family needs extra support. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Sometimes I remember a story about, in Oregon, you had to adopt a dog, you had to go through a class, and then you had to have somebody come out and look at your house and see that you had appropriate, and then after it was done, you had to have somebody come back and make sure the dog was okay. And you think, parents often are don't have those kinds of supports a lot of the times. And if you come from a parent who really didn't know how to parent, and then you kind of lie back on what you've learned as a child. So it's really important to kind of give a different perspective and see how people would like to do things better maybe than their parents did, and give them some resources to be able to do it. So it's really, I think it's really important to be able to give them some resources, because when your 3-year-old's crying, they're not crying just to make you mad. So some people need to really understand, like, child development, you know, when kids do appropriate things and when that's just normal behavior for them. So often we don't get a lot of resources for that for parents.
And then I had a question. How many, I guess, mothers or families do you have a capacity to help each year through this program?
So we have, we can serve 180 clients through the PAT program, and we see 200 through our Nurse Family Partnership Program. And then if we can't see them, we're really collaborative, because there's other PAT programs. There's not another Nurse Family Partnership, but there's other PAT programs in the county. So if we can't see these clients, we try to work to get them into another program that may, if we're at capacity, may be able to help them through like other resources in the community. So other PAT programs, early Head Start, anything that can help support these parents that way. Any other questions?
Any other questions from council? Okay, well, thank you for that presentation. Good work.
Congratulations.
And thanks, Wonder Newton, for putting that on our agenda for information. Thank you. Okay, we will move on to item 8.6. This is the presentation on Salt Lake County's feedback for Wasatch Choice Vision. Presenters Ryan Anderson, Regional Planning and Municipal Services Program. Manager Daniel Torres, Long Range Planning Manager with the MSD. Thank you. Come on up. We have everybody?
Good.
Okay. Just speak into the mic.
Okay,
Thank
can you hear me okay?
I think so.
Okay, well, hello, and thank you for taking the time to hear our presentation today. We'll be talking about the Wasatch Choice Vision Land Use and Centers Update. I also want to take a moment to recognize that Meg Pageant and Andrew Gruber from Wasatch Front Regional Council are here with us today, and they'll be available to answer any questions you might have. Okay, do we have presentation?
Lauren's just, yeah, there she goes.
Great. Oh, perfect.
And you push down to get it to go down to the next slide.
Ah,
It's not intuitive.
no, not, thank you. Okay, the goal of today's presentation is to provide background information and context to the County Council regarding the local and regional considerations of WFRC's Wasatch Choice Vision's Land Use and Centers Update. Oh, went too far. Okay. So the goal, following our introductions and a brief outline of the role of Salt Lake County, this presentation will review the Wasatch Choice Vision process and implications for how the Vision's Land Use and Centers Update applies to the future land use vision of both unincorporated Salt Lake County set forth in the county's 2 general plans and also regional goals for Salt Lake County. As you know, my name is Ryan Anderson, and I am the Municipal Services and Regional Planning Program Manager for Regional Planning and Transportation. You may remember me from a few weeks ago when I presented on Planning Commission appointments that you ultimately appointed for service. In addition to coordinating Planning Commission recruitment and training, I also manage both local and regional planning projects for Salt Lake County. This work includes improving planning coordination and processes with the Greater Salt Lake Municipal Services District, or the MSD, which is contracted by Salt Lake County to provide local land use planning and zoning services. And the Salt Lake County's Mayor's Office, developing ordinance and policy updates for unincorporated county, and increasing planning education and capacity region-wide through our annual Regional Solutions event. With me today is Daniel Torres, the Long Range Planning Manager for the MSD, and part of Daniel's role is to support member communities with long-range planning projects like the Wasatch Choice Vision's Land Use and Centers Update. And then Helen, the Director of Regional Planning and Transportation, is also here with us today. Oh, actually, before I go into that, I also want to build off these introductions to provide a little bit more clarity on the specific roles between regional planning and transportation and the MSD. So regional planning and transportation is in the Office of Regional Development, which falls under the mayor's portfolio. Our team's work typically falls within 2 primary functions. First, we coordinate regional planning efforts, including supporting cities, hosting our annual Regional Solutions event, coordinating with WFRC and the State Office of Planning and Budget through its Guiding Our Growth initiative. We also provide guidance to the MSD on successful application of county policy on land use applications and zoning administration for unincorporated Salt Lake County, including implementation and development of the county's general plans and moderate income housing plan. The MSD is contracted by Salt Lake County to provide local land use planning and zoning services, such as application review and processing and supportive long-range planning services. To some, while the MSD focuses on providing land use related services to the unincorporated areas, regional planning and transportation assists unincorporated policymakers in considering the regional and local impacts of those land use decisions. As members of the Salt Lake County Council, you have two primary roles when it comes to land use. So first, you're the legislative body with authority to make land use decisions for unincorporated Salt Lake County. Examples of this in action are when the County Council elects to update its land use ordinances, like the ADU ordinance update passed earlier this month. The second role is as collaborators working with communities across the county and other regional planning bodies to ensure residents across Salt Lake County have access to amenities that improve livability and quality of life. An example of this includes strategic planning and funding of programs like Parks and Rec and senior centers that serve regional purposes and residents across the county. Today, we are here to inform you and provide context for our recommendations on the Wasatch Choice Vision's Land Use Incentives Update through perspectives that represent both regional collaboration and local land use authority. The Wasatch Choice Vision is a process facilitated by the Wasatch Front Regional Council, WFRC, that ultimately informs the development of the Regional Transportation Plan. This process is repeated every 4 years and identifies priority transportation projects needed in the next 20 to 30 years. To ensure that future transportation needs are adequately prioritized, WFRC uses the Wasatch Choice Vision to take into consideration the layered impacts of transportation choices, housing options, parks and public spaces, and city and town centers. While each of these pieces is critical in estimating future transportation demand, we're here today because WFRC has asked all communities to provide recommendations related to the Wasatch Choice Vision's Land Use Incentives Update. First, we will discuss the Wasatch Choice Vision Land Use Incentives Update as it relates to local land use in Salt Lake County. Here you can see the Wasatch Choice Vision Land Use Incentives Update map in relation to unincorporated Salt Lake County in blue. The map indicates the different land uses and centers anticipated by 2055. There are 4 different types of centers that vary in use intensity, ranging from neighborhood centers, which are low intensity, to metropolitan centers, which are high intensity. These are indicated by the different colors on the map. The Wasatch Choice Vision Land Use Incentives Update also takes into consideration parks and open space, which includes cemeteries, golf courses, local parks, and open space. In general, the parks and open spaces can include any natural, untouched landscapes, regional and local parks, regional recreational facilities, river or creek corridors, and city plazas. As you can see here, the Wasatch Choice Vision Land Use Incentives Update does not anticipate any centers in unincorporated Salt Lake County. Parks and open space, however, are considered to a limited extent with acknowledgement of the Mountain Dell Golf Course and Parley's Canyon. Next, we will review how this map aligns with the county's future land use vision set forth in our general plans. Unincorporated Salt Lake County has 2 primary general plans. The West General Plan covering the West Bench, which was updated in 2022, and the Wasatch Canyons General Plan, which was updated in 2020 and covers the Wasatch Canyons on the East Bench. These 2 plans serve as the guiding documents outlining the county's vision for future development. General plans are legislative documents, meaning that after a thorough public engagement process and Planning Commission input, the County Council ultimately made the final decision to adopt these plans as goalposts for our community. Aligning the Wasatch Choice Vision Land Use Incentives Update with the general plans allows us to ensure that the county's goals and projected land uses are considered in development of the Regional Transportation Plan. The map on the left indicates the future land uses of the West Bench indicated in the West General Plan. The area we're looking at right now applies to the west section of the Wasatch Choice Vision Land Use Incentives map. The West General Plan outlines a variety of land uses, including agricultural, mining, and rural residential, among others. Of note, indicated by the red circles, are areas anticipated for master plan community development. As outlined in the land use chapter of the West General Plan, master plan communities should include a variety of uses, including residential, commercial, centers, employment, parks, trails, and preserved natural lands. Master plan communities should consist of town centers, village centers, and employment/commercial centers. These uses align well with the Wasatch Choice Vision's neighborhood centers, which are the lowest intensity centers conceived of in the vision. That being said, as you can see, 3 of the 4 master plan community areas are also only slated for development post Rio Tinto Kennecott mine closure and remediation, which the plan anticipates to be decades away. The 4th master plan community area is located in an area that has already been annexed to Harriman and South Jordan since the adoption of the West General Plan in 2022. As such, staff supports this iteration of the Wasatch Choice Vision Land Use and Centers update without any centers in the West Bench at this time. Since this process is completed every 4 years, Salt Lake County will have an opportunity in the future to continue engaging with stakeholders and update the map to account for these master plan communities once development is more feasible. While the West Bench may not be home to any centers for the time being, it is important that the Wasatch Choice Vision Land Use and Centers update include consideration for open space in the West Bench. Because the Wasatch Choice Vision ultimately informs the Regional Transportation Plan, it is important that recreational uses be taken into consideration as they may influence transportation demand to and from those amenities. The future land use map includes a recreation conservation area, which is designated in the plan for outdoor recreation, including trails, open space, habitat, and recreation activities. These uses align with the parks and open space uses available for consideration in the Wasatch Choice Vision Land Use and Centers update. Parks and open space can include any natural, untouched landscapes and regional recreational facilities. As such, staff recommend amendment to the Wasatch Choice Vision and Land Use and Centers update to include this area as open space, the area in yellow that's outlined in green circle. Now for the Wasatch Canyons General Plan, which covers the east area of the Wasatch Choice Vision Land Use and Centers update map. The Wasatch Canyons General Plan outlines the land use vision for the county's East Bench. As you can see, a vast majority of the land in this area is public land managed by the U.S. Forest Service, which restricts development to limited parcels dispersed throughout the canyons. This type of land use does not easily lend itself to a centers model, as commercial and residential land uses are not concentrated into a single area. The Wasatch Canyons General Plan does not anticipate significant development of the canyons, as the canyons are primarily designated for public use as a recreational amenity. As such, staff supports this section of the Wasatch Choice Vision Land Use and Centers update map with no changes. To ensure that the Wasatch Choice Vision accurately considers the Salt Lake County goals as outlined in its general plans, staff favorably supports the Wasatch Choice Vision Land Use update with a suggested amendment to accurately account for open space and public land uses in unincorporated Salt Lake County. In the future, Salt Lake County may wish to change this position to encourage consideration of centers and master plan communities on the West Bench following Rio Tinto Kennecott mine closure and remediation. So now to talk about Salt Lake County as a regional collaborator. The Wasatch Choice Vision is ultimately a regional plan with goals that will have impacts that transcend municipal boundaries. These include goals for improving opportunities for housing, enhancing access to parks and open spaces, and creating pedestrian-friendly centers. When considered holistically, these goals provide a strategic plan to manage regional growth and development in a way that aligns with local values and needs. These goals align with Salt Lake County's vision for the region. Further, Salt Lake County Parks and Recreation is in the process of completing its 2025 master plan, which will include recommendations and priorities for parks and open space facilities countywide. These facilities may be located across the county and will provide regional benefits to residents across the county. Staff favorably support the goals of the Wasatch Choice Vision Land Use Update as they closely aligned with the council's regional goals and vision for Salt Lake County, with a recommendation that WFRC includes park and rec facilities once the master plan is complete. And those are our recommendations, and we're available to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, questions from council? Comments?
I'll just make a quick comment. I appreciate all the work that's gone into this, and how great is it that we have the ability to plan for the future and look at ways that how we want to grow and what we want to do. And we have great partners with WFRC and others who are helping us move in that direction. So thank you for all you do and for the presentation.
Thanks. Any other questions or comments?
I just have one comment, and I always say the same one. East-west freeway, please.
Okay.
If you can figure out that alignment.
I have an
You
idea
do have
for
it,
you.
okay.
I already have an idea.
All right.
And I've been lining up
And
people to
Andrew's
support
behind
it.
me. I don't know if he has an answer. but-
6,200 is it?
I just want to make a comment that this is kind of the beginning of the final development and adoption of the regional transportation plan that will occur in 2027. And so I just wanted to say we'll be back again asking your opinions about things and inviting you to open houses to opine upon what the ultimate regional transportation plan will be.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. We'll move on. Okay, item 8.7, presentation on an audit of criminal justice services. Our presenter is Salt Lake County Auditor Chris Harding. And team, looks like. Okay. Are we out of chairs? Darn.
I am happy to stand.
Have to pair up in one chair? Just kidding. It's crazy in here today.
There you go. We'll pull some chairs from the other room.
We're happy to start if you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for.
Hey, I'm happy to give up my chair to the auditor.
I was just
really
gonna say,
am.
No.
No,
It's kind of an interesting thing to have the auditor kneel before the council. I'm just gonna point that out. There we go.
Wow.
Yeah, he was.
Hey, I have no problem. At the auditor's office, we live to serve, so whatever
I
we
know.
can do.
It's awesome.
Happy to present our audit on criminal justice services data access and protections.
Bring it in chair.
Got a big group today. Tammy Brakey at the end, Anthony Cornianis, Brenda Nelson, and Shauna Alborn. These are the folks who are in the trenches, slogging in and day out, and we appreciate them. They are wonderful auditors. Today, we're going to give a brief introduction to our audit, the opportunities we found for improvement, and our recommendations, and then we'll conclude with some next steps. So the audit of criminal justice services data access and protections, we reviewed the period from January 1st through December 31st, 2023. Our objectives, as with most of our audits, is to make sure that internal controls are in place, that they're adequate and effective, and that data access and protections comply with applicable ordinances, policies, and procedures. As mentioned before, we identified some opportunities for improvement through streamlining processes for network and application access termination, surplusing of hard drives, and ensuring consistent data entry. Criminal Justice Services was great to work with. They agreed to 10 of our 12 recommendations. And with that, I will turn it over to Brenda. Oh, whoops, sorry. I apologize.
My slide wasn't showing up.
Yeah, just push it so it's.
There you go.
There we go. Can you hear me okay? So, as Chris mentioned, today we'll go over findings related to improving the timeliness of revoking access from the network, as well as certain applications for staff that terminate. We'll also go into more detail about opportunities to increase the consistency of data entered in their case management system. And I'll turn over to you, Anthony.
Thanks, Brenda. As Chris mentioned, there was two disagreements with management based on two of our recommendations that we had. The primary reason for the disagreement was they didn't agree with the risk rating that we assigned to the finding. And this finding was based off of data entry into their case management system, eSupervision. The audit reviewed compliance with CJS policy 03-100, which requires that client drug testing information be entered into the case management system and recorded within there. CJS management did agree that the internal policy that they had needed to be updated, and they agreed as well to improved monitoring and compliance going forward. And then this goes into a deep dive of the actual information that we tested. So we tested a sample of client drug testing dates and found that 21 of the 45 testing dates had no data entry recorded within eSupervision, their case management system. And then 18 of the 45 testing dates had inspecific information that was entered, and only 6 of the 45 were correctly and accurately recorded. On the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about the risk ranking that we gave this finding. We did assign it a significant risk ranking, and this was due to our ability to provide reasonable assurance that internal controls were compliant with policy. The risks associated with that, we usually recommend action within 60 days in order to remedy the issue. And as mentioned before, CGS did agree that the policy needed to be modified to match current practices and how they do business. I'll pass it along to Tammy, who's going to go over some additional things about policy, or I think internal policies and defining those.
All right, thank you, Anthony. So the auditor's office, we talk a lot about internal policies, and we'd like to take just a brief moment to highlight how important it is to have clear internal policies. They're really the foundation of good governance and solid oversight at every level of agency. Clear policies help set expectations for staff and for auditors, and they give us something concrete to refer to when we're doing compliance reviews. We audit to policies. If they're unclear or ambiguous, it's hard to tell if a process is actually being followed. And if exceptions to the rules aren't spelled out in the policy, we can't audit to them. We do recommend to all agencies regularly to review and update their policies so that they are kept updated to match current practices. As situations occur and new behaviors cause new behaviors, we recommend that a review of the policy be made and either behaviors be changed or the policy be updated to match those behaviors. When policies clearly reflect expected practices, it reduces confusion and promotes consistency, and so saves everyone a lot of time and effort. Would you like an example of what I'm talking about?
I think I understand.
Okay. All right, so moving along. The next two slides have to do with revoking certain access privileges to employees that have terminated their employment with Salt Lake County. In 2023, Criminal Justice Services had a total of 21 employees who ended their employment with the agency. this slide here is regarding the termination of their Salt Lake County network access. We found that 3 of those 21 employees, which is 14% represented by that middle circle, did not have a request for their network access to be revoked at all. We will note that since County Information Technology does have a process whereby they run a weekly report identifying off-boarded employees, those 3 individuals noted were ultimately revoked from their network access by Information Technology. Next slide. Criminal Justice Services staff use a combination of different applications containing sensitive and confidential client information. We verified that Criminal Justice Services revoked the user access to 2 of these applications for all of the 21 employees who terminated their employment during 2023. For the remaining 3 applications as shown on this slide, we found instances where employees in some cases were not being removed upon termination of employment or were being removed in an untimely manner. We do want to note that for the 1 user with access to UWITS, that Utah Web Infrastructure for Treatment Services, Behavioral Health Services automatically locked their user access due to inactivity after 40 days. And in late 2023, the Sheriff's Office conducted a user access review for OMS, that offender management system. And as part of that review, they independently removed access for any former Criminal Justice Service employees who were no longer within the agency. And with that, I will hand it over to Shauna.
Thank you, Tammy. Hello, everyone. I'm Shauna Alborn, the Audit Services Division Administrator. The first 2 recommendations, I'll talk about those first. The first one is related to network access, and the second one is related to application access. So for both of those, the recommendations were similar. So we did recommend that CGS strengthen their internal policies and procedures. That's for removing both network and application access. And this includes clearly identifying who is responsible for handling the process, including designating their backups, setting clear expectations around the timing of the access removal, and outlining what documentation should be kept and how long that should be kept for. Per CGS's response, they have already made those changes to their procedures. They've clarified who's responsible for each part of their termination process, including designating their backups. They've set a 5 business day window to remove system access after an employee leaves, and they're keeping records of these actions for 5 years. The third key recommendation that we recommended that CGS clarify how drug testing results should be recorded in e-supervision. This includes providing specific guidance for each program and be supported by periodic monitoring to ensure the process is being followed. In response, CGS has committed to updating their case note policy to better reflect the differences between programs and to give staff clearer guidance. They also plan to incorporate this in their quality assurance audits and to offer annual trainings to help ensure consistency going forward. So I'll turn the time back over to Chris.
Thanks, you guys. So our audit is posted to our website. As with all of our audits, when we have recommendations, we will follow up, do a follow-up audit no earlier than 6 months from when this audit report was issued. And we'll report that to you, maybe not in a council setting, but we'll issue a report. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions that you may have.
Okay, questions from council? Okay, well, thank you for that
All right.
audit report. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks to your team too.
And the extra chair.
Okay. Okay, we will move on to item 8.8. Clerk update on results of the Utah State Legislative Audit, a performance audit of election cybersecurity. We have with us our county clerk, Lanny Chapman. Welcome, Lanny.
Thank you. We have a full house today. This is awesome.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
It's great that it's not for me. So, do you have our PowerPoint up? I mean that in the most loving way possible.
Yeah, we know.
Okay. So I told you earlier this year that we were going to do a cybersecurity audit, and I wanted to give you an update on that audit and on the Office of Legislator Audits General's findings. So appreciate it. Okay. Down. Yes, it works. Okay. The cybersecurity audit was performed by SLI. It was conducted as part of a larger Office of Legislative Auditor General's audit of elections cybersecurity voting equipment used in Utah. In 2023, House Bill 269 allowed the Office of Legislative Auditor General to audit the state's election systems and controls every 2 years. The purpose of this audit was to verify that the equipment used for elections is within the specifications of the EAC or Election Assistance Commission certification for voting systems. The audit covered network vulnerabilities assessment, network traffic analysis, server security review, wireless scanning, network port review, Bluetooth scanning, and all desktop workstations in the tabulation room were audited using the same standards. The legislative auditor selected counties that utilized different election equipment. So there were multiple counties that were part of this larger audit. As you recall, in order to ensure that we maintained our equipment certification and did not violate any maintenance warranties on the Salt Lake election equipment, we worked with SLI Compliance, accredited lab by the U.S. EAC as a voting system test lab qualified to test voting systems to federal standards. We invited the legislative auditor to our election management center to observe the testing and ask all relevant questions of myself, the team, and SLI. The audit was performed on site over 2 days in February. The testing that was performed by SLI and their results. Our audit was performed such that it was conducive to evaluating the cybersecurity of our equipment without voiding any of our warranties that we maintain. The audit tested whether the voting equipment utilized is compliant with the statute and relevant cybersecurity best practices like data encryption, multi-factor authentication, audit logging, and ensuring that only necessary software is installed in election computers. Their findings, the network vulnerability assessment. This was a network scanning of voting equipment to monitor traffic and inventory connected to the devices. The audit found that Salt Lake County election system are not connected to the internet and that the tabulation room is air-gapped, which is something that we've known for a very long time, but it's nice to have an outside accredited team verify that. The network traffic analysis was testing to identify any network traffic attempting to reach the internet or any traffic that was otherwise not expected as part of normal voting system operations. There was no attempts on behalf of the connected equipment to establish internet-bound connections from the air-gapped network. So again, this is saying nothing's going in, nothing's going out outside of the networked connection in our tabulation room. There was no unusual traffic patterns and no unauthorized devices were identified. Meaning, again, the equipment was properly networked so that they can speak to each other, but no other or outside equipment is on the network in the tabulation room. The server, tabulator workstations, adjudication workstations, and Ethernet switch security review. The test performed was assess the security posture of the server, the network connectivity, software installed, and encryptions. Open source testing was performed, hash validation testing to confirm that the files on the server match those that were EAC certified. The software not related to the voting system certification was not observed on the system. So again, the software that should be on there was on there. There was nothing else on any of our systems other than what was certified to in our EAC certification. Wireless and Bluetooth scanning. This test included a physical walkthrough of the area
surrounding the equipment to determine available wireless network and evaluate all equipment for wireless communication capabilities. All devices had Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capabilities disabled. Again, that software was disabled, but we took it one more step. The equipment did not have the capabilities as wireless networks, interface cards. All of those were removed from all of the equipment prior to even coming into our election tabulation room, meaning that there's not even the capabilities. So not only is there no app, but they don't have the wireless card. So it can't touch the internet. The network port review, again, the tabulation room is networked so that the tabulators can talk to the server in that room. It was additionally tested to verify that no means existed to bridge network connections such that connectivity external to the voting system was possible. And again, they found it was not possible to bridge those networks to any voting system equipment. Salt Lake County, as you guys all know, remains steadfast in our commitment to safeguard the integrity of our elections. Let's talk quickly about what the legislative auditor found. So again, we were part of a larger audit that the legislative auditor discussed this earlier this month. And they reported their findings. They had a few findings. 1.1, as required by statute, the systems were not connected to the internet. So none of the systems that were discussed or part of this audit were connected to the internet. So it's not just Salt Lake County gets the gold star, the state of Utah gets the gold star here. I, along with the other 28 clerks, support prohibiting wireless communication capabilities in our voting equipment. While some states may use wireless connectivity to allow in-person vote centers to report in results, I believe that can be counter to our priorities of safe, secure, and accurate elections, as it brings in unnecessary vulnerabilities to the mix. 1.2, wireless networking capabilities. It was found in voting equipment, however, it was not in Salt Lake County. We do not have wireless networking capabilities on our equipment. Part of the software hardware hardening that happens before it even comes into our possession is that we make sure that it does not even have those capabilities before it enters our county buildings. The hardware is manufactured without the ability to connect to wireless networks, and the applications are removed that would allow any wireless networking before they come in. Election officials should better control what election workers can access to strengthen cybersecurity. This was another one of their findings. This talks about more who has access to what and how they have access to it. And this is something that we do hold near and dear to our heart. As part of the clerks group, we've added 2 additional trainings in our conferences, including UEC later this week, where we're going to ensure that we create an inventory of all user accounts to individuals on voting equipment and access whether access privileges are appropriately matched to the user's legitimate system needs. So Salt Lake County has memorialized our longtime practice of ensuring that password account privileges are limited to only what is strictly necessary. That's something that we have done for quite some time. We have now memorialized it. Election software is appropriately certified and verified. The audit verified what we already knew, that protections we utilized, including hash validation, ensures that software has not been altered and ensures that election software is unchanged from its authorized version. Every election season, we audit the equipment prior to deployment, and additionally, we hold post-election audits, which many of you have participated in, and I appreciate that. Thank you. And we want to make sure that the equipment is working accurately, is unchanged from its authorized version. A couple more findings. Election officials should strengthen passwords to more effectively control user access. This is something that we absolutely agree with. As part of the clerks group, we have added trainings similar to what we just discussed to make sure that all clerks in the state of Utah are on board with that. And again, Salt Lake County has memorialized our longtime practice of having our IT manager act as our password administrator, who has and will continue to enforce our policy that user credentials and passwords are managed
secure, and requires secure, unique passwords for each user that is granted access to our voting systems. We will continue to work to improve the management and strengthen our passwords. Their final finding was the audit found 2 instances in which election computers were not properly secured. These findings involved other counties that were part of the audit, not Salt Lake County. My team and I have worked very hard to develop and implement procedures to protect the physical security of voting equipment. So, before I ask you guys if you have any questions or if you want to talk about the referendum petitions, I just wanted to let you know that election security is paramount to transparent, secure, and accurate elections. I am proud that Salt Lake County was part of this audit. I'm constantly seeking to improve the security and integrity of Utah's elections along with my fellow clerks. I'm pleased that the extensive testing confirmed what we know is true. Salt Lake County's election system is protected, secured by multiple layers of cyber security practices. Specifically, the voting systems are not connected to the internet. The voting equipment is properly configured to help minimize the risk of cyber attacks. Election software is appropriately certified and validated, and physical security controls are in place. Safeguarding the integrity of elections is critical. Thank you all for understanding the importance of the audit and providing me with the resources to ensure the testing was performed and was done so in a way as to not invalidate any of our certifications or warranties. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that report. Any questions for Lanny?
Just a comment, not necessarily a question, Lanny. I just wanted to note, I appreciate this. This just kind of reaffirms, that we went through a big thing with you about a year ago when I had my spa here. And just really wanted to reemphasize, I appreciate what we're finding here with the audit. Sounds like it's mostly just some training stuff that we really need to hit, and that's about it.
Training and just memorializing some of the practices we have in place, and it's something we've already done, so
Well, thank you.
yes, thank you all. Appreciate it.
Okay, good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on to item 9, public hearings and issuance of public notices. 9.1, we will set a public hearing for 1:30 p.m. on May 20th, 2025 to receive public comment on the transfer and conveyance of real property located at 8802 West, 2600 South in Magna City. Presenter, do we have Kristen here?
I
see a vote?
don't know that we
Okay. Do we
right now need the presentation.
Okay,
I'll
no
just
problem.
motion that we set the public.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second to set the public hearing. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes. We'll move on to item 9.2. Yes, you bet. And I will let the mayor speak on behalf of this item before we open the public hearing. And we also have SCG Mike Mon here as well. So thank you.
Great. And I know we have 2 items under this public hearing. Am I correct about that? I left my agenda behind.
We have the hearing and one corresponding resolution.
Okay, great. Well, I will address both.
Okay.
Thank you so much. It's great to be before you today, and I appreciate Mike Mon from Smith Entertainment Group joining as well, given what we're about to discuss is entering into a land transfer with Smith Entertainment Group. And there are some other issues that relate to it, so we'll address those as well. So I think the order, if you're comfortable with it, is I'll give a quick overview. Darren is online, and he will be speaking for a minute, and then we'll turn it over to Mike, and then, of course, open it up at the appropriate time to public comment. So I just want to thank each of you. This has been a journey to get to today, and I want to be clear that today is not the end of this journey, but it is a critical moment for Salt Lake County as we look at realizing what we're all educated about and interested in, and that's the realization of a sports, entertainment, culture, and convention district. And today we will appreciate comments from the public regarding the transfer of land and the terms. And just to give you a quick overview, you are aware, I believe, that we are looking at approximately 6.5 acres of county-owned land, and that parcel is in between the Delta Center and the Abravanel block. It's that mid-block, we've called it, and is approximately 6.5 acres of county-owned land. The coordinates are between South Temple and First South and Second and Third West. So this parcel is the west side of our core downtown. And within this area, of course, are the Salt Palace Convention Center, iconic venues, Delta Center, Japantown, Abravanel Hall, Umoka, City Creek Center, Kitty Corner. One block over, of course, is the temple, the Salt Lake Temple, which is under renovations right now. And this is indeed, this area, a crucial urban core. And this particular parcel and the steps that we're about to take are really more than just about land. This step is a crucial step in defining our future of downtown's core and our economic future. So today, as I mentioned, we're considering selling land to a Utah-based company, SEG, committed to partnering with us for the revitalization and reimaginement of this area. And following a comprehensive review process and the preparation of a detailed report, we believe this sale is not only fair in terms of fair market value, but represents a transformative opportunity for the community. So the benefits of the sale are substantial. It unlocks a once-in-a-generational opportunity to reimagine this direct section of downtown. It will enable a district that will serve as a dynamic destination where locals and visitors alike can gather, explore, and enjoy the unique offerings of our capital city. Additionally, the project anticipates significant annual economic activity thanks to projected increases in events that have already begun at the Delta Center and our Salt Palace. The sale also transitions the property from tax exempt to taxable status, and that's will result in additional sales tax revenues and a boost to local businesses and jobs. And importantly, this development will better connect our downtown culture and convention spaces, and as I mentioned earlier, activate that section of downtown. And we know right now when people go to enjoy a symphony, that perhaps they don't know how to navigate around the Salt Palace to get over to the Delta Center and vice versa. When you look at the millions of people that we expect to enjoy our downtown in the years to come due to the revitalization of the temple, we want people to be able to pass on through and head over to Gateway on that western side of town. The connectivity and activation of the assets is really much of the reason that I have been excited about this project. The redevelopment is going to better connect those cultural and convention assets and will prepare us for the upcoming 2034 Olympic Games. You're well aware we've signed a contract already that we will be hosting the media center in the Salt Palace. There's talk of curling there. And if you go back to the Metals Plaza that I worked at years ago, that's going to be a really incredible revitalized downtown for the enjoyment of the world, and that's exciting. So a critical point in next steps is that the future development of the Salt Palace will enable Salt Lake County to add a second ballroom. That's going to mean more simultaneous events, two conventions at once. Often conventions come in and they each want a ballroom and we only have one. So that one change alone is game changing in terms of our revenues. I also want to mention that we need to stay in the game to remain a premier destination, our convention facility. As Dan Hayes and Caitlin are out talking to groups throughout the nation, there's a lot of competition going on right now. Austin has a major new renovation. There are others. We have to continue to invest in our Salt Palace or we will lose revenues and be left behind. Renovations to the convention center are going to increase flexibility and capacity. and will allow us to put on events at a much larger scale. And I'm going to take a second to just point out a practical matter. The convention center will not close. It will remain open as we look at the construction in future years. And there'll be a strategic phased approach to ensure that convention businesses will continue during construction. Now, we do have very large events that buy out the entire facility. We are immediately reaching out to them. We're already in conversations with them. We're going to be really creative in figuring out how we handle the impacts. And our team is already well on that. So in short, the resolution before you today and the sale agreement paves a way for a smart, forward-looking investment that benefits our county residents. And I look forward to hearing from the public and working with Salt Lake, with this council, SEG, and other partners in the future. I'm going to take just a couple of minutes on next steps and some questions that have been raised. And I want to first thank our partners and recognize that there is a lot to this question today, and there is a lot to what is going on, and really take a second to acknowledge our partners, many of whom are attending today. First of all, assuming that the council is supportive of moving forward today, we will issue an RFP to engage an architect. We're going to do that this week, begin that selection process. This is a pretty substantial investment for the county, so the actual process to engage an appropriate architectural firm will take quite some time. During that process, we will, of course, be engaging with the community more directly. We have been in touch with the Utah Symphony and Opera leadership, with the UMOCA leadership, with our partners in Japantown, with partners at the LDS Church, City Creek and beyond, and we will continue those conversations. And upon the selection of the architectural firm in the future, there will be a very advanced series of public engagements. So I don't want everyone to feel that our work is done. It is only beginning today with your decision should we decide to move forward. We anticipate more public hearings so that there's an opportunity for the public to directly come and weigh in once we have a design charrette at a later date from the architectural firm. And in the meantime, that direct engagement with stakeholders will continue, SEG being one of the primary stakeholders. It's important to note that assuming the land is transferred to SEG, the land use authority resides with Salt Lake City, not with Salt Lake County, so anything that happens on that block, much has already been defined by the Salt Lake City's participation agreement, which SEG partnered with several months ago. It's very well defined. So those terms will be Salt Lake City's terms. Our interest today is actually more specifically to the development of the Salt Palace, its needs, and how we will work in concert with many stakeholders, but specific to our own asset. So that is why we're here today. But of course, the action to move forward raises appropriate and legitimate questions, and I honor those questions. So know that today is not the end all be all. The engagement, community engagement, and actions will be continuing and at a more deliberate pace and level in the days to come. So with that, if you will have questions, I'm sure, but I'd like to turn some time over to Darren Casper. And before I do, I have just a heartfelt thanks to the amazing district attorney team. We recognized that Smith Entertainment Group has a lot of work to do to renovate the Delta Center itself. As the season has ended, this is their window to do so. That has put us in a position to move deliberately, thoroughly, but also at a pretty quick pace. So the teams have been working overtime, and I'm incredibly grateful to Ralph specifically, but to the full district attorney team who's been working on the document, on the information, in order to protect our county. And the thanks also goes to your team as well, Mike, for the work that you all have been doing. And then, of course, Darren, we have worked on assuring that this is a land transfer with terms that are in the best interest of our residents and that also meet the definition of adequate sale that meets our legal definition and requirements as well. So with that, I will turn it to Darren, and after that, we'll turn to Mike, and then we'll allow you to call up the public for further discussion. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Council members, it's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. I did want to just briefly go over the cash flows and remind you that the cash flows that SCG will provide to the county are over a 30-year period. And although they total out to just under $140 million, the present value of those cash flows is $55 million, $55.4 million, which is fair market value and which is an appraised value of the property. And so it's my opinion this is a fair transaction. And I too appreciate seeing Mike there and Addie. I can see in the back as well. And I got to tell you that they've been fantastic partners to work with. And this is going to be a great partnership moving forward. I'm mostly here for if you have questions with regard to the contract that we're signing, or more specifically with the financing. And I'd also echo the comments the mayor made with regard to the district attorney's office, which I also see all of our attorneys in attendance as well. They just did excellent work and pulled together an amazing feat in a very short period of time. So with that, I'm not going to spend much time on it unless you have specific questions with regard to the cash flows and the deal points, but rather turn it over to Mike for comments.
If you're comfortable, we'll go back to Darren after Mike's comments, if that's okay, Madam Chair. Okay.
First of all, thank you all so much for having us here today. As has been stated by the mayor and Darren, this has been a wonderful experience for us to work with all of you at the county. It's a wonderful collaboration, great people working toward a common goal to do something that will be generationally defining, and just really appreciate the time and opportunity to be here again with Mayor Wilson, with the entire council here, with all of the amazing county staff. As the mayor noted, that should the council decide to move forward today, it's one more important step in a long but amazing journey toward reimagining downtown Salt Lake City. We've had the opportunity to work over the past many months with a lot of different partners, community partners, businesses and community leaders, different religious and service organizations, cultural and community groups. We're especially mindful of the neighbors that are right in that area, right? And so you've, of course, got the Utah Symphony, Utah Museum of Contemporary Art, the Japanese Church of Christ, the Salt Lake Buddhist Temple, the broader Japantown community, et cetera, right there. And it's very important to us as we look and make sure that this is a project, a district that works for all Utahns and has an opportunity there. You'll be likely familiar with the participation agreement that SCG signed with Salt Lake City. So for example, in there, it mandates that a minimum, it starts a public benefit fund where ticket fees for those who are using the Delta Center go toward a public benefit fund, and mandates that a minimum of $5 million be spent out of that fund on Japantown, for example. We also continue to meet on a regular basis with members of the Japanese American community as part of that participation agreement, and are grateful for the input that we get there. I also want to note that while this is an amazing investment in our capital city, the impact will ripple deeply across not just the city, but the entire county, state, and the region as a whole. Of course, there are investments and assets supporting the entire community like Abravanel Hall, like UMOCA, the Convention Center, and creating a place for residents, national visitors, international visitors, and on, because that's what this new district will do in terms of bringing people together. Now, SCG is delighted to be a community partner in so many ways across the county, and we are committed, as you know, to building a lot of different community ice sheets. We announced that recently, that we're committed to making sure that we can make the game of hockey accessible, for example. We look at that in terms of reimagining Southtown Mall down in Sandy, where we're building the hockey practice facility right now and investing deeply in that community. We have youth sports programming throughout the county. In just Salt Lake County alone, we have over 22,000 kids who are playing junior jazz basketball. We look forward to those numbers in junior hockey to expand considerably as well as we continue to invest in our commitment here. And then, of course, we're delighted to be involved in significant philanthropic activities throughout the city, the county, and the state as a whole, whether that's investing in public schools, donations, working with local nonprofits, engaging with workforce training and development, and things like that. Mayor has covered all of the talking points, I think, regarding the convention center itself. Let me just say that as the district comes together, should the county choose to move forward today, it is, as we've discussed, this sports, entertainment, culture, and convention district. That makes it unique among most of these districts across the United States. A lot of them are sports and entertainment. They miss the culture and convention piece. And having that opportunity in a downtown urban core to create this environment is unique and special. And again, because of that, the ramifications and the ripple effects will extend far beyond just the city, throughout the entire county and everything else. So very grateful to you for your consideration today. Looking forward, if approved, to continue to work with all of you, Salt Lake City, and the community at large on this amazing opportunity to reimagine what our downtown and what that can mean for the rest of the county and state.
Thank you for those comments. Any others? Okay.
I'll just say after public comment, if you'd like to,
Okay.
Darren, myself, or Mike answer
Sure.
questions, we're available.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, could we have an opportunity as a council to ask questions before we open public comment? I'd appreciate that. I think it might help.
You want before?
Yeah, I'd like to be able to ask a few questions because I think it might help answer some
okay.
questions that the public
Let
might
me
do if we're okay with
open the
that.
public hearing, and I'm happed to.
I'd like to do it before we open the public hearing.
Yeah, before we
Or
open
you want
it.
to do it now? Okay.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I think it might
sure.
help.
Is that procedurally correct, Mitch? Okay. All right. Yes.
Yeah, so number one, some things that I'm trying to understand as we get through this agreement. Obviously, the reason why we're here today is because we had somebody make an offer or request to do this. And maybe, Mitch, could you just kind of hit on that quickly? And then the second question I have, and Darren, I'm putting you on the spot, what's the total deferred maintenance that we have if the South Palace stays in the current state as it is today? Just to help me understand that. So, Mitch, if you don't mind asking that first.
Sure. Thank you, Councilman. So the council's role today, we previously provided public notice about the hearing that's about to take place. And that's because there's both state law and county ordinance on dispositions of significant parcels of rural property. In Salt Lake County, those are parcels that are over $250,000 in value. And before the county can dispose of those, using a variety of methods that are available, it has to have a public hearing where the property, after the public is allowed to give its input, is declared as surplus by the county, and it's allowed to be disposed of in one of many approved ways, which include lease, sell, intent to sell, various types of legal conveyances. That same section of ordinance provides that county real estate and the mayor who directs county real estate have the obligation to negotiate and propose the best method of disposal of these parcels of real property based on all the circumstances that are involved. There's a requirement that the county, and this has already been discussed, receive fair market value for the parcel, which can be calculated in a number of ways. And the underlying agreements explain all of the unique principles about this particular transaction that get us to that point. And then the public has an opportunity to respond and to indicate their point of view about the transaction, whether it's in the public's interest. And then ultimately it's to the county council, you all, to decide whether it is in the public interest, whether you want to allow the administration to enter into the agreement and find that it's in the best interest of the county and its residents.
Okay. And then Darren, what, if you don't mind, just the total, right now we have deferred maintenance, and I know we're 100 million plus, but I'm just curious.
That's correct. Our HVAC system alone was approximately $90 million, and that's prior to some pretty serious escalation in that industry. And the total requests that we had backlogged were in excess of $120 million. So there was fairly substantial deferred maintenance that will be obviously handled by this. And I think that really even more than that, the functional obsolescence of the exhaustingly long L shape of the Salt Palace will be largely remedied by the current thinking on design as well. So there are pretty substantial benefits from that perspective. And that's a great question. Thanks, Sheldon.
All right, thanks. And can I just follow up one thing with you, Mitch? So when you have this type of situation, this can be in the situation of an unsolicited offer. Any number one of those things can trigger this event. Is that correct?
That's right. That's absolutely correct. So the initiation of it doesn't require the council, for example, to convene and say, we absolutely want to sell the property. That has to occur at some point. We have to go through this public process. We are now. But there can be various reasons that real estate and the administration or the policymakers in the county would decide, hey, we're interested in hearing an offer about a particular parcel of property. We see something in the public interest and we want to explore options. And there are multiple methods that could be chosen.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate
Okay.
you allowing me to ask a few questions.
All right. Any other questions before we open public hearing?
I just have a pretty quick one, actually,
Sure.
Mike. This is regarding the city's, the participation agreement with the city regarding that $5 million. I'm just curious, is there a specific time frame that has to be spent within? And would any mitigation regarding construction interference be an allowable expenditure for that fund?
So those are both at city discretion.
Okay.
And so you'd have to ask the city on those, but the city has committed to spend at least $5 million on Japantown and to consider other uses as determined by the city council.
So theoretically, if the city were to say that was okay, that a mitigation could be an expenditure.
That's my understanding, but I want to be hesitant speaking on behalf of the city.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions?
You know what? Could I just follow up with one more?
Sure.
So basically, any renovation that we have would be solely funded by what this district brings. It wouldn't be any additional burden on property tax or anything like that.
So the revenue streams identified are the sales tax and the property tax within the 10-acre area.
The area that was established by the state.
That was established by the state.
Okay.
Right. Oh, sorry, 50. Thank you. I'm glad I have my phone a friend here today. But yes, I misspoke, 50 acres. And so that would include the Delta Center block, which is about 10 acres, the mid block, which we're talking about transferring now. There are private property owners on that block. And then the Bravenel Hall block, as we know it, and then the Ritchie property block to the south, and then I think some common area would make up the 50 acres. That is the footprint for property tax capture for 30 years. There are obligations already, especially on the Ritchie site, that will be honored first. So the sequencing and the time frame could be limited to years less than the 30 for that area. And then the additional revenue streams that we received input from the council on, including a previous affirmative support, was the use of the fourth quarter revenues and having that captured and put into this project. We also have fourth quarter cash on hand. And Salt Lake City agreed to applying their fifth. You all just recently implemented the capture of fifth revenue, transportation dollars. Their segment of that they have put in as well. So did I miss anything, Darren, in terms of the state sales tax at 50% of that 50-acre footprint?
So a member in my district, for example, wouldn't really be paying for this unless they went into that district and made a purchase.
Correct. Property tax on site. One of the key points is that the land that we're considering transferring today is untaxable. With the renovation of the Salt Palace, we will be, of course, vacating that land, turning it over to development by SEG for additional revenue on site. So it's a different proposal as the legislature envisioned for Salt Lake City, in that the revenue stream identified earlier 2 sessions ago, the 0.5 sales tax, is citywide. This is actually dedicated to that area specifically, other than the revenue streams that I identified and shared.
Thank you, Mayor.
The additional.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, then we will Move on to open.
Madam Chair, I will make a motion to open the public hearing on this item.
I'll second that.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, no, Laura, you can have it.
Okay, motion and a second to open the public hearing. I just want to read it really quick because I don't think I actually did that. 9.2, public hearing to receive public comment concerning the proposed disposition and sale of certain significant parcels of real property owned by Salt Lake County consisting of approximately 6.5 acres and located at approximately 55 South, 300 West in Salt Lake City. And we will move to public comment, or did I vote? No, sorry, let's vote on the motion to open public meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so public meeting is open and I will allow public comment. I just want to remind you to state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes here at the microphone. So anybody here to give public comment at this time, please come up. Sure, yes. And just make sure, I think it's probably on already, but if it's not lit up.
It's
green,
off,
the button.
actually.
Okay, just press the button and speak right into
No, right there.
Yeah.
There you go, we're on.
Yeah, and just make sure you speak right into it.
Thank you very much.
Maybe a little closer.
Okay. My name is Lynn Ward. I'm an elder at the Japanese Church of Christ and also speaking on behalf of the Salt Lake Buddhist Temple. So Troy Watanabe, who's the president of Salt Lake Buddhist Temple, is ceded his time to me, if that's okay. Okay, thank you. First of all, thanks to all of you who attended the Nihon Matsuri on Saturday. It was really a great event. And then also thanks to the mayor and mayor's office for their support as well. You could see that that was a great community event. And if you had asked all of us to come together and spend hundreds of hours and put a community event together like that, that would be really tough. But that event's been going on for 20 years and it was just a natural growth out of the area. The Salt Palace demolition, the new construction, and the finalized buildings will have significant impact to my church, the Salt Lake Buddhist Temple, and Japantown Street. Both churches, as you know, have been on the street for more than 100 years, and you're aware that previous government actions by eminent domain have taken out Japantown and left just the two churches. Despite that, the two churches are very, very active. Besides holding our Sunday services, regular meetings and activities related to the life of a church, such as pastoral meetings. We have community luncheons, cooking classes, active shooter training, taiko groups, and the occasional funeral. In fact, the Salt Lake Buddhist Temple holds the cremains of departed loved ones. It also hosts the Food Justice Coalition in its kitchen, where meals are prepared for the underserved. That's on a weekly basis. And all the services and activities are open to all. The focus has been on the final development and the vision of how great this is going to be. But in the meantime, there are serious concerns about the demolition and construction phases. As you finalize the sales agreement of the Salt Palace and the Smith Entertainment Group, we respectfully request the following. One, during the demolition phase, the concern is wrecking balls, jackhammers, dump trucks causing dust, debris, and potential damage to the churches and property. During the construction phase, the concern is backhoes, cement trucks, cranes, and other construction vehicles clogging the street and impeding church activities, not to mention the festivals. For these phases, we request three things. One, vehicle access to the churches and our parking lots is preserved. Two, a fund for cleaning and damage remediation is established and made available to the churches. I haven't read the participation agreement with Salt Lake City and SCG for a while. There is the $5 million supposedly designated for Japantown. I don't know that the intent was for remediation. I thought the intent was for enhancement of the area. So that's something we ought to look at. I think there was also a designated amount for homeless services. And I don't remember if that was part of the $5 million or a separate $5 million. During the design features in the final phase, one concern is access to the residential tower that SCG is proposing to build. It currently shows on their renderings that it's the only access point is on First South. And if it's the tallest building in Salt Lake City, 600 feet, potentially 60 stories, and having one access point for the residents, garbage trucks and so on, that will really impact First South. So we are requesting that another access point be created. Parking, while both churches have parking lots, the previous county actions recognize and support parking needs of the churches. We request the commitments be continued. Please preserve and maintain the Japanese garden. I know that's been talked about a lot. I know you all know about it, but there's also a piece that goes from around the Salt Palace to on the side of the Japanese Church of Christ around to the back. And that, I don't know if that's part of the parcels being sold as part of this agreement, but if it is, we'd ask that it is carved out and still maintained by the Salt Palace. Security fencing and lighting, presumably at SCG's request, the state's alcohol laws were changed last year, where alcohol can be sold on that 3-block area, and our church is right there. And so we are asking for consideration of fencing and security lighting so that we don't come to church on Sunday morning after some big party at the bars right behind our church. Step backs, the SCG schematic submitted to the Salt Lake City Council on June 11th, 2024 show building step backs at least equivalent to the Salt Palace's current step backs. And we appreciate SCG's consideration of that and are confident that that would hold. Then the front entrance of the hotel is drafted to be on 2nd West. The original plans were that it would come into First West. That would be a good thing for the Salt Lake Buddhist Temple because they won't have the loading docks anymore. But the bad thing is that would impede the Obon Festival as well as the New Hamatsuri Festival. So their current drawing, they have changed it, says SCG's changed it so the entrance to the hotel is on 2nd West. So we hope that holds. Many of these points are covered in the agreement between Salt Lake County, Salt Lake City, the Japanese Church of Christ, and the Salt Lake Buddhist Temple, and were re-verified by the County Council, resolution number 6240 on September 10th, 2024, and we request those commitments be held. I know that many of the things I've said might be city items, not just county, but we know that this is a very complex project, and we know that both governments as well as the state are involved. So I'm sorry if it's kind of mixed together, but it is all related. So for your convenience and for the public record, I have copies of my statement. I have a rendering by University of Utah architectural students on a 3D, what it would look like in 3D, and then some other public comments and public opinion pieces. So I thank you very much for your attention and time.
Lynn,
Thank you.
you can have that. You can have that in the city mayor's office.
That's what they agreed to.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, anyone else in the room that would like to give public comment? Please come up. Welcome.
Good afternoon. I guess you want my name. I'm Cindy Thompson. Do you want my address?
Yes, please.
4068 South Claudia Street, West Valley City, Utah. So yes, I'm in the county, and I'll be really brief. It's been brought to my attention that the county has not sent out an RFP on this project. I would like to see that happen to give other potential buyers or developers the opportunity to submit proposals. Because I have a lot of questions, like how do you know that there's not a better offer, better proposal available out there?
Thank you.
And that's it.
All right.
And I have a lot of questions, but.
Okay. Hello, welcome. Hello.
You'll want to turn that
Yeah,
one
if
on.
you can make sure that's on. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Vivian Nguyen, and do I see my address?
Please.
11096 South Windy Peak Ridge Drive, Sandy, Utah. I'm an architecture student graduating from the University of Utah. I and my cohort of 50 other architecture students had the opportunity to design last fall's project for Japantown, which was an indescribably enriching experience since none of us even knew that this community even existed before. We studied the history of the land, reviewed the current sports district plans, and created visions of what a revitalized Japantown could be. We really, really, really loved this project because every step of the design process involved real-life feedback from members of the Japanese American community, and some of our ideas included history and culture museums, quiet respite spaces, Japanese retailers, and housing. We were fueled by stories of what Japantown once was and what it could be again. We shared our work at the Japanese festival this past weekend and experienced firsthand the joy, culture, heritage that this community brings to Salt Lake City and the county through its festivals and religious traditions. Urban development does not have to be discarding the old and bringing in the new. Rich history can be blended into new development and even enhanced. I hope you'll consider Japantown and what it could be in your deliberations. Thank you for your time and for listening.
Thanks, Vivian. Okay, next.
This one's on. Hi, Jim Visog, 5491 West Lockwood Drive, West Valley City. I'm here, I noticed there's no attachments to this. So to speak for or against something that it's hard to get the information from. I've gone back in your past meetings. Of course, I understand those minutes cannot be released until after you've approved them, and you did that in this meeting. But I would ask, since staff has put the only attachment on there and says this is a non-time sensitive item, that you guys would delay this into the future, put out full disclosure on the information of, I don't know if that's what it's called here in West Valley, it's a development agreement, and what's being agreed upon for our taxpayers in the county. And
Let me give you my copy.
Okay. Well, that's great. And that's all I said. It's just hard to make an educated decision without all the facts. And so, thank you. And thank you, Mr.
Thanks, Jim. Okay. Hello.
Hi, my name is Matteo Sonia. I live on 255 North, 400 West. My name is Matteo, and I'm the owner of Matteo Italian Restaurant on 77 West, 200 South. We are between 2nd South and West Temple. We opened Matteo in September 2023. We were located by Liberty Park on 900 South and 500 East. Around November 2024, in the fall of 2024, I started kind of looking around because the place was very small, and there were days where we were booked 3 weeks in advance, and there were days that it was, there was not much foot traffic. And then we had the opportunity around Halloween. I went downtown and I sat at the bar and I was like, whoa, this is unbelievable. And we had the opportunity to sign the lease on 77 West and 200 South on November 7th. We opened November 22nd. I just would love to invite you all to sit at a bar and through the big windows, look outside, and it feels like a lively town. I believe we do a lot of business with conventions. We do a lot of business for anything. I mean, we're in the block. There's, as you said, there's a Bravano Hall, there's theaters, there's everything. And I can tell you that anytime, when we moved there, I was scared because I'm like, I don't know when all the calendar things happen. And trust me, I can show you open table. You don't need to have a calendar schedule because anytime there's anything in town, we have double the reservations. If anything keeps going the way it's going, by July 4th, we're going to have more than the revenue we did in whole 2024. And I think what this is trying to build is coherent with everything else that happened in the last 10 years. I believe that for us as a business, we employed over double the staff that we did on 9 South. We have at least 4 times the amount of walk-ins we did on 9 South. And anytime there's a convention, there's not enough seating in old downtown, because even last weekend, there was a volleyball tournament. I probably turned down 500-600 people both Friday and Saturday, because there's not enough things going on. And one thing in the restaurant business is very up and down. And one of my mentors told me, a good restaurant, you don't value at 6:30 on a Saturday, but you value at 5 o'clock on a Tuesday. And that's what that block is. There's theater, it's busy from 4:30 to 9:30. And as a restaurant owner, I can tell you that a lot of other restaurant owners are thriving for the 5 p.m. on Tuesday, because that's what allows you to staff and to keep busy and to generate business. So I just wanted to share my opinion, and I felt like the need to share my opinion. So just thank you for listening, and I look forward to see you at the bar or have a good plate of pasta. But thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments, Matteo. Do we have anybody else that would like to comment? Hello.
Hi. Thank you, council members. My name is Lori Wyke. My address is 1140 Lake Street, Salt Lake City. I have a couple of questions regarding the sources of funds for the Convention Center Reinvestment Zone, as was listed in the GOEO proposal approved on April 4th, and I'm referring to this from that GOEO proposal. Does this list of fund sources include money received from this potential sale of 6.5 acres? Specifically, the two numbers I would appreciate clarification about are the 408.4 million number from the citywide sales tax increase and the 50 million county cash contribution. Regarding the 408.4 million from the city sales tax increase, we know from last year that 1.2 billion in revenue was estimated to be generated from the tax. Of this revenue, the participation agreement allocated 900 million to SEG for both arena development and district improvements. Now, that still left an unallocated remainder of approximately 300 million minus a small city administrative fee. Is this 408 million in city tax revenue for the CCRZ sources of funds coming from this unallocated remainder? There was a footnote in the GOEO proposal identifying this as the remaining portion allocated to CCRZ. So if this is the remainder, why is the figure in this estimate 408 million rather than 300 million? Is it larger simply due to an increase in projected revenue from that citywide tax increase? Or does this figure include additional city tax money, perhaps as part of the district improvement pools in that 900 million allotted to SEG? And if so, would this then include the purchase price of the 6.5 acres? In other words, are we as taxpayers funding the cost of the sale of public property as a part of the negotiated land lease agreement and now land sale agreement between the county and SEG? I realize this may not be the case at all, but would really appreciate clarity on the sources of funds for the Convention Center Reinvestment Zone as it relates to the potential sale of these 6.5 acres in the mid-block. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Lori. Okay, anybody else in the room that would like to comment? Please come up. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi, my name is Brent Koga. I actually live in Layton, Utah, 2269 East, 3100 North. But I'm a member of the Salt Lake Buddhist Temple, and I'm also on the board of directors. I'm on a committee that's kind of been charged or tasked to kind of watch out for the future and ongoing operations of the Salt Lake Buddhist Temple. And so our task is to just try and ensure the viability, the functionality, and the future of the church. And that would include the Japanese Church of Christ, because I have a ton of friends there too. And both of the churches, as Lynn said, have been there for over 100 years, and that they're the only two remaining entities of what was historically a Japantown. And before I started all of this, I looked up kind of to see what the purpose of government is. And I came up with two definitions. And one of them was the ultimate goal of government in a democracy is to protect individual rights to liberty within conditions of order and stability. Another one listed three purposes of government. It's to provide the parameters for everyday behavior for citizens, protect them from outside interference, provide for their well-being and happiness. And I don't see anything, because what I'm seeing is $1.2 billion in sales tax revenue being contributed in there from Salt Lake City. And then this latest iteration for the district is 1.8 billion from property taxes being directed. And to me, it enriches. I'm all for private entities making money. That's the way the system works. But it excludes the existing people there on Japantown Street. And if we get blocked in by 60-story buildings on all sides of us, and if you sell the 6.5 acres that are in that mid-block to Smith Entertainment Group, then it takes away the mandate of what I just said were the purposes of government. So then private entity can dictate what happens there. On Block 67, where the Salt Lake Buddhist Temple is located, that's already going to be private entities. So to me, it's and I'm the one that
is not politically correct most of the time. I go straight at a subject. It eliminates the mandate for government to do that protection. And so then, and in this resolution, under number 5, the Salt Lake Buddhist Temple and the Japanese Church of Christ are not listed. So thank you for your time. If the two churches end up getting run over, shame on everybody that has happened.
Thank you. Okay, next. Hi. Welcome.
My name is Trey Imamura, and my address is 1548 West Sunset Drive in Salt Lake City, Utah. So again, my name is Trey Imamura, and I am a Japanese American who grew up attending services at the Salt Lake Buddhist Temple. Members of my family and I are active in functions at both the JCC, the Japanese Church of Christ, as well as the SLBT, Salt Lake Buddhist Temple. I'm also on the coordinating committee for the Utah Japantown Advocates, and today I have the honor of serving on the temple's board and as the chair for our Obon Festival, which is celebrating its 89th year this summer, making it one of Salt Lake City's longest-standing cultural traditions. As a Salt Lake County resident and a member of Utah Japantown Advocates, I respectfully urge you to incorporate the following protections and commitments into any negotiations, contracts, or development agreements associated with the sale of the convention center property. Number 1, honor the existing agreements and festival logistics for Nihon Matsuri and Obon, including parking, event access, as well as load-in and load-out accommodations. Mutually uphold the previously acknowledged MOU between the Mayor's Office and Japantown organizations, reaffirming Japantown's role in shaping future development. Commission and fund a cultural impact assessment before construction begins, ensuring that mitigation measures are identified and adopted early. These requests are critical to safeguarding Salt Lake County's commitments to cultural diversity, historic preservation, and public trust. The sale of this property presents a rare opportunity to proactively embed these protections into binding agreements. Once the sale is complete, it will become significantly harder, if not impossible, to ensure that Japantown's interests are respected. This is not simply about a property sale, it's about whether Salt Lake County will continue to honor its promises of inclusion, equity, and cultural preservation. I urge you to act now while you uphold these tools to ensure these commitments are real and enforceable. Aside from these requests, I want to ensure that all parties involved understand that Utah Japantown Advocates is eager to work with SEG, the county, the city, and all of our neighbors to create a welcoming place for every single resident of Utah, as well as every single visitor to our capital. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else in the room that would like to comment? Okay, if there's not anybody in the room, is there anybody online? Oh, did you want to come up? Okay.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name is Clarissa Park. The address is 10497 South Oker Lake Road in South Jordan. And yes, my name is Clarissa Park. I am on the board of the Salt Lake JACL and run the Instagram and website for SLC Japantown. When I lived in Los Angeles, I frequented LA Live at the Staples Center, so I understand and see SEG's vision. I am personally looking forward to this development. I see the potential and opportunity for our city, county, and state. It goes without saying that it is essential that the Salt Lake Buddhist Temple, Japanese Church of Christ, and the Japanese Garden remain untouched and protected as they are beloved historical beacons to Japantown. At the JCC Japantown community meeting last year, Mayor Wilson and Mike Mon asked us what we want, and that question was very impactful for me. For those who are not members of either remaining religious organization on the street, we want a commercial space to enliven the heart of the community again, with Japanese businesses, restaurants, and artist space. I have been in touch with Japanese businesses and have a growing list of those who are ready to represent our culture on Japantown Street again. For too long, the Salt Palace loading docks have been a dead zone on Japantown Street. I encourage SEG to activate that side of First South with commercial space. I understand that as a developer, the numbers have to make sense. So I am gathering data to measure the economic impact of Japantowns in other states. At Nihon Matsuri, which some of you were able to attend, it is estimated that 8 to 10,000 visitors come to our street annually on that one day. Japantown isn't just a cultural endeavor, but a smart investment with diverse and sustainable revenue generating potential. I hope that after the purchase, SEG continues to commit to the Japanese community as they have throughout this process and allow us to collaborate on at least a small portion of what remains of Japantown. I see this as a chance for another Utah First, where we can lead the way for the nation, a Japanese cultural experience integrated into a major sports league complex. I am looking forward to bringing the town back into Japantown.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else in the room that would like to comment? Please come up. And Laura, do we have anyone online? No one online. Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I think I can answer the question on the revenue sources that was asked by Lori, if that's helpful to you.
That'd be great.
And Darren, if I get this wrong, jump in, because I want to make sure.
Mayor, quickly,
second.
I'm in a motion to close the public
okay.
hearing, and then we'll continue. So a motion to close the
Second.
hearing.
Okay. Motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Go ahead. Thank you.
Well, I think Lori, when she asked about the 480, the GoYo proposal and the 408 figure, that is the remainder after the 900 million of the 0.5 city sales tax is applied to the obligation to SEG. So that residual amount of 4.8 is the amount that will go into the Salt Palace Revitalization Fund. And I think the scoping, just the additional time, some of the revenue assumptions built in, the number landed at 408. So that's my understanding. And then the 50 million is cash on hand from our fourth quarter revenue fund that will apply to this project. And we received legislative change for that. And then the question regarding the revenue from the 6.5 acres, that revenue, as was mentioned earlier, will come at a later stage. And that was intentional to allow for the investment by SEG into the project. The sooner they can build and revenue is created, the sooner revenue flows. So at the request of SEG, the revenue, much of it will be transferred at a later date. So, but it will go into the Salt Palace, both the Salt Palace Mitigation Fund as well as the construction fund. And then at a later stage, after we've gone through architectural and planning and we actually go out to bond, we will have a more refined number than the planning number we've been working with. So Darren, correct me if I got that wrong.
No, you got it just right. That was excellent. I just say that the 1.2 billion original estimate was based on certain assumptions with regard to growth rate of the tax and interest rates in the market. And of course, they're in flux. And so it may change yet again, depending on the timing with regard to the bonds. But that was a great answer. Thanks.
And I guess my last point is just that SEG doesn't have access to this broader revenue. I think that this is a complex deal and I think it can be confusing, but their ceiling is a revenue and the discussion back with the city participation agreement of 900 million. So any additional revenue through these various sources is invested into our Salt Palace, the Salt Palace renovation. And as specified in the legislation and the GoEO process, any investments are ultimately determined by us at the county. Any sign off happens by us at the county and have to have that tether to Salt Palace enhancement and renovation.
Chair, can I?
Yes.
I think one of the things that might be helpful for the public to understand is the Salt Palace actually offsets a lot of money that normally would come out of taxes and specifically property tax if we didn't actually have that bringing revenue in. You gave a number not that long ago, I don't know if you remember what that was, how much the Salt Palace actually offsets in property tax that we would have to pay if we didn't have the Salt Palace working the way it does now.
I wish my brain was that good. It's between 1,500 and 1,700
Per household, average.
Per household.
per household.
Per house, about $1,700 per household. You'd have to pay more if the Salt Palace weren't functioning the way it does now. If we do this right, we can actually increase how much can come out of that, and we will actually be able to keep property taxes low that way. Being able to hold multiple functions at the same time by having 2 ballrooms and all those things, some of the things that we've been talking about. So part of the concern of the council right now is making sure we do this thing right. If we don't do it right, it means it's going to cost us long-term in our property taxes. If we do it right, it means we will save money property taxes long-term. So this is why it's such a critical point for the council right now.
Can I add on to her comments? You know, Salt Lake County is in the tourism business. That's why we have the Salt Palace. And it's a great economic driver because we bring in these people from out of state who come to these big conventions. They stay in hotels, they buy food, they go to events, and then they leave. We don't have to educate their kids. They've spent all this money in our community and they've given us a lot of sales tax revenue. And so that's where it's offsetting property taxes. And that's why I think this is critical. I mean, at some point we're going to have to rebuild our Salt Palace, and this is a great mechanism to do it. And so to answer somebody's question about why didn't we go out for RFP? Well, we would have never just cut our Salt Palace in half and given 20% to sell that land unless there was some other potential financial benefit for us as a county to be able to rebuild it in a way that actually generates more revenue down the road. And that's what this deal does.
Okay, Councilmember Stewart.
Yeah, so probably going to shock people with some of the questions or statements that I'm going to make, but I heard somebody use the word protection. It's our job to protect, and I really appreciated that statement. And part of protection I view is the future. What are we protecting for the future? And the other thing I look at is I'm a finance background, so I'm always like, okay, what's in it? What's in the numbers? Darren and I connect well a lot of times when we start talking net present value, all these other calculations. But what Mateo said to me kind of hit me too, is like, hey, you know, my business is booming and we really need to look towards that. And part of that protection, I started adding up numbers. We have a lot that we have to do on the Salt Palace Convention Center. There is so much that needs to be done. It's the same reason why I supported us relocating this center to the Freedom Center. And I feel like I'm getting to that same place here, is what do we have that's got going on down here? How can we continue to enhance this area so that even the Japantown area can thrive? And that's really what I'm looking at here. I've struggled getting through some of the numbers, and with the help of many people, especially in Mayor's staff, Darren mostly. Darren, that guy does a lot. I'm really finding that we've got to make the right decision today for the future. You know, normally I would say a week ago, you probably would have heard me say that I probably wouldn't support something like this. But in all the digging that I've done, I'm finding we've got a large expense out there that's coming due. And if we can accelerate that through this type of agreement, I spend a lot of time in convention centers. And when the mayor brought up Austin, I was just there about a month ago at a major convention related to my organization where we had the largest banks in the world there. They've done a lot with that city. And if you've seen the areas where they've done that development, there is a lot of growth. I mean, if you haven't seen the Bat Bridge, it's crazy, but those type of things are bringing people into that area. And because of their investment that they've done, Austin is improving. And so that's where my statement doesn't say the way I'm voting, but it is saying, hey, there's a lot that is being done here. And I do appreciate the time that has been spent. I mean, I had a few questions. I appreciate Mitch taking the time on those, but I can't thank Darren enough and Mayor Wilson and her staff. Normally you'll see me come out on the other side, but when things make sense, they add up. So.
Thank you. Anybody else here that'd like to give a comment?
Madam Chair, I'll make some comments. You know, this is my district. And at the end of the day, I am excited about the redevelopment that this is going to bring. And I've had the great opportunity to visit or be on the Visit Salt Lake board for most of the time I've been on the council, and have been able to see the convention industry and the benefit it brings to the community up front. And a more efficient, larger salt palace on a smaller footprint is exactly what we need to continue to be a top tier destination for conventions. I want to talk a little bit about Japantown just because most of the public comment today had focused on that. So I wanted to provide my perspective on it. First of all, the fact that the county is selling this parcel, or that this parcel is going to be developed, is been envisioned since this whole idea was pitched to us last year. So that really, shouldn't be much of a surprise, but I think it's really important to understand, given the comments, that we are not the land use authority for the area. We are a large landowner, and we're looking at the 6.5 acres that the county owns and how best to utilize those acres for the public benefit going forward. So a lot of the concerns around the access points in particular and how the development occur, the county is not involved in the development agreement because that's not the county's role in this project. So that all should appropriately continue to be addressed with the city as SEG goes through the planning process when the land becomes privately owned. There were a few points, though, that the county is involved in, and I just want to reiterate what those are. Particularly, we have an agreement for the upkeep of the garden, and the county, as recently as September last year, the council passed a resolution reaffirming our past commitment to Japantown in general, but also reaffirming that we will continue the upkeep of the garden in perpetuity. That will not change, and also reaffirming the parking memorandums of understanding that exist. And we will continue to protect that and work with the community to ensure that they have the access to the parking that the county has control of. Those points I think are important to make. The security is one, again, the county is not involved in, but I think those are appropriate conversations to have, as things move forward. But I, for one, think that the overall security situation will improve. There are a lot of existing challenges in the area, and this type of development, I think, will naturally improve the overall state of security in the downtown area. There was also a comment that was made regarding the timing. The reality is that there is a lot of time sensitivity related to this moving forward. There are specific dates that the state had mandated that are part of the GOEO, but also just in terms of the ability for our partners in SEG in the city, SEG in particular, I think, to move the project forward. They need an answer from the county definitively on how we're moving forward. And so that there is a reason for the county to hurry at this point. And I hope people understand that we're not rushing for the sake of rushing, but that it does need to be finalized one way or the other. So I think the mayor answered the question on the source of funds. And so I'll just again give my thanks to everyone who has participated in this. Well, I will say too, for Japantown, I think for a lot of years, we have tried to be supportive of the community. From my perspective, this is, I think, finally when that investment will be happening in Japantown that they have long deserved. One of the questions from my reading of the participation agreement, there are several buckets for this public reinvestment. And the $5 million we've referenced is specific just to Japantown, not the other mitigation areas that will have to happen. So that is just for Japantown. So yeah, thank you, Mayor. Thank you to our private partners in SEG. And I know there's a lot more work to do with the city as you go through these planning processes. And you heard the concerns in the room. So hopefully you can work through those particular points that are not the role of the county. And again, thank you to all my colleagues who have taken the time to dig into this deal as well.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Hey, Russ? Yes.
Yep, thank you. I just want to echo the comments about the importance of working collaboratively. This has obviously been in the works for quite a while with many different governmental entities, with private sector, with business. And we didn't hear today comments from some of the other local partners, right? Abravanel Hall and Umoka. But that's because there's been so much work done already to get us to where we are right now. I also think it's important for the public to understand that even though we may not have responsibility over all of the pieces that have been discussed today, as elected officials, we also can communicate with our peers at Salt Lake City and be part of the solution if there are challenges that arise. So, you know, I trust that this is the beginning of the process. I trust that we're going to be working in good faith and very strong directionally. But to the extent there are challenges, please let us know. Please know that we will be a resource to talk to other governmental entities to convey those concerns that might come up. But I do think this is in the best interest of Salt Lake County. I think it's in the best interest of Salt Lake County's residents. And so I appreciate the work that's been done.
Thank you.
I want to echo a lot of what has been said, and off of Ross's point, you kind of actually stole a lot of what I was going to say, but I wanted to say to Japantown that yes, collaboration is very important. And even though we don't have authority over Salt Lake City, that there's still a lot that we can do. And I think that this is an effort of action versus words to restore what the past of Japantown meant to the community and what the future can bring. I think the project that you did for your class is one that we should look at and we should really consider. As the mayor said, today is the beginning of the conversations. We're going to have an RFP for an architect. We're going to really think about what it means for everyone to be a part of downtown, not just a select group of people, and that includes making sure that diversity, culture, and inclusion is in our downtown. So as was said, if construction happens, if parking's happening, if festivals can't be done, please call. There are representatives that we can make sure that the history that has been happening to your community, this is the time for us to right a wrong. And I'm excited about the reimagining of our downtown and making sure that includes a revitalized, beautiful Japantown. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
And then I was, you basically took what I was going to say too as well. But I think the biggest thing for people to understand, we're in the process now. And no matter where we are in the process right now, you have council members who are champions of certain things in this process and more than happy to lend our voices and our weight if we need to in that process. So just know that we are excited about this. We're hoping that it turns out to be exactly what we all want, and it becomes exactly what we need as well. So,
okay,
make a motion.
I just want to give a couple.
Have we formally moved to 10-1?
We have not.
No,
Okay.
I'm just going to give a couple of comments if you don't mind, and then unless anybody else has some as well. But I just want to say this is a really unique opportunity for Salt Lake County and all the partners and stakeholders involved. There's a lot of stakeholders involved in this process, and we've really tried to be sensitive to everyone. I was at Japantown just over the weekend, and so I understand that cultural presence in the community and how important it is to them. And seeing some of the drawings that Vivian referenced, they're really beautiful. Some really cool things that are coming for the community. And so change can be really hard sometimes, but I think there's a bright future for everyone in this community and what we're going to see downtown. And so it's really a rare and unique opportunity. Really excited for the partnership of what's taking place in downtown. So I think there's some good things coming here, and I'm really excited. And so with that.
Madam Chair, I will make a motion that we approve Resolution 10.1, the sale of real property agreement with SEG.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Approval of 10.1. I don't know if I need a roll call, but we'll see. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Oh, that passes unanimously. All right. Thank you, everyone. That item. Okay, move on. Okay, 10.2. Whew, all right. Thank you all. Thanks everyone for being here as well. And thank you for taking the time. That was a little bit long, but thank you for hanging in there and everyone that commented as well. So, okay, give it just a moment, folks, to clear out. Oh, it's a little, okay, it's a little bit of a relief. When you tell me like that, dang. Okay. I wonder if we should just take a quick break. We're almost, we have those
We have all the
resolutions. I
proclamations.
know.
We could do like a 5 minute.
I'm going to call a 5-minute recess for just, we can recalibrate and everybody can take a quick walk around the building or whatever they need to do. We'll come back in 5 minutes. Okay. No, we have 4 resolutions or 4 proclamations.
Oh, that's right.
Or, my dear.
I was like,
I don't know how quickly those will go.
I don't
So
want
let's
the media
just.
to leave for our fluoride speeches.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
for you.
You should have told them to come back. So, yes.
I was kidding.
For the,
Oh, I'm so
for the
sorry.
resolution,
I know, I was like.
I don't know if we can.
Proclamations, you
Yeah,
mean? Move it forward.
the
All right, we're going to keep going?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to go home? Okay. All right. I see where you're at.
We got 5
See
minutes.
what it's about. Okay. All right, then we'll move on. Okay, so we're going to move on to item 10.2, final adoption of an ordinance of the legislative body of Salt Lake County, Utah, repealing chapter 9.26 of Salt Lake County Code of Ordinance 2001 entitled Fluoridation of Public Water Supplies in Salt Lake County. Mitch, do you need to say anything more on this? Or have we
Motion
kind of-
to approve.
Okay,
Second.
We'll just go. Okay, motion and a second to approve. I need a roll call on this though, okay? So let's do it.
Can we make our speeches?
Councilmember Harrison,
No.
Councilmember Winder Newton,
Aye.
Councilmember Moreno,
I
Councilmember Bradshaw,
Nay.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Pinckney,
Nay.
Councilmember Stringham,
Yes.
Councilmember Romero,
No.
Councilmember Theodore,
Yes.
passes 5-4.
All right, that passes. Okay. If they're just, okay. Anyway, 10.3. Okay. First reading of an ordinance of the legislative body of Salt Lake County, Utah, amending chapter 2.50 of the Salt Lake County Code of Ordinances 2001 entitled County Constables in order to update provisions related to the appointment of constables by Salt Lake County. I sponsored this and we have presenters, our legal counsel and legislative director, Mitch Park and Kara Trevino. Welcome.
Mitch
Okay.
is gonna.
Mitch is gonna pitch.
I'll,
Okay,
I'll lead out a bit and I'll try to keep it brief.
thanks.
So there has been some discussion about the future of the constable program. About a month ago, I wrote a letter to our existing constables informing them of what I understood the sense of this body to be, which is that Salt Lake County was in a place now as a regional government focused on large-scale regional issues, that it probably didn't make sense for the county to continue down the path of appointing constables who are special function peace officers that serve legal process, among other functions allowed by state law, that it didn't make sense for the county to continue appointing these individuals, which is a discretionary choice that counties and municipalities in the state of Utah can make. Since that time, I think it's safe to say that we've received some amount of feedback that there is concern in the legal community and among members of the legislature and elsewhere that if the county steps away at the end of June, when the current terms of office for our remaining constables expire, that there will be a service lag in the delivery of legal documents, especially writs, that must be served either by the sheriff or by constables. And that as a result of that, the cost of process and the administration of paperwork in the legal system would become more expensive for county residents. We have also been informed, and Kara can speak to this a bit if she would like to, that the legislature is looking at the possibility in the 2026 session of removing the constable appointment process from counties and municipalities and administering at the state level. And that would make a fair amount of sense because these officers, even though they're appointed by individual cities and counties, have the ability to go throughout the state and conduct their functions lawfully anywhere within the state of Utah. And that, I think, is one of the many reasons that we can, in the past, I and others have recommended sort of transitioning away from constables or appointing them, is because they truly do have jurisdiction outside of the areas that we as a county have jurisdiction over. And it's a bit of a weird fit and a misalignment. And I do think that it would be recommendable if these individuals continue to perform an important function and do so at a statewide jurisdiction, that the state take on the responsibility of managing those roles. So I know that's a lot of prelude to what I've brought before you today, which are revisions to county ordinance that would streamline some of our longstanding provisions about how constables are appointed and removed, would update the amount of fees that constables pay to better align the actual costs, the time of staff. You as other county officials, there's a requirement under state law that when constables are appointed, a nominating commission has to be convened. All of that in real dollars and time is a resource cost to the county. And I think that recommending changes to increase the cost, to better capture, increase the fees to better capture the cost that the county experiences, to provide some clearer and more streamlined rules about constables and their appointment, and to get some reports to you as the policymakers about what the constables are actually doing, all of that would be contained within this ordinance. And if the council entertains that today, what we would do when we come back next week on a second reading is also have a resolution that would do two things. It would appoint or rather inform the nominating commission that it needs to convene and bring back some nominees, or open up the application process rather to get nominees for the council to consider by the end of June, so that there's not that lapse in service. And then it would also communicate to the legislature that the county really does wish that this responsibility be taken to the state level, and encourages them to take action in the 2026 session. And at that point, allow us as the county to withdraw our constable authority once they become a state responsibility.
If you don't mind, since this kind of falls under me as my responsibility, at least until it gets deferred away, even though Mitch has really been doing it, I'd just make the motion that we accept what Mitch has presented, if everybody's okay with that.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion and a second to approve item 10.3. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right.
And then just know this will be one of our legislative priorities next year.
Okay. Yep. Have fun with that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item 12, other items requiring council, oh, we don't have that. Sorry, 13, proclamations, memorials, and other ceremonial or commemorative matters. We have 13.1, proclamation honoring National Therapy Animal Day. Sponsors Councilmember Stringham, Councilmember Harrison, and Councilmember Romero.
Okay.
Do we have a presenter as well?
Yeah, well, our presenter is not here today. We're not sure if it's because of all of what was going on or what.
Okay.
So I was just asking if they've gotten a hold of him and if he'd like us to hold a week or not, but I haven't heard back yet. So I'll go ahead and go forward right now with the proclamation, and I'll just read it really quickly. National Therapy Animals Day Proclamation. There are thousands of pet partners, therapy animals teams serving in communities across the United States. And whereas pet partners have designated April 30th as National Therapy Animal Day, and whereas scientific research shows that interacting with therapy animals can reduce stress, relieve depression, slow heart rate, lower blood pressure, and strengthen the immune system. And whereas therapy animal teams in the town of Cottonwood Heights play an essential role in improving human health and well-being throughout the human-animal bond. And whereas Therapy animal teams interact with a variety of people in our community, including veterans, seniors, patients, students, and those approaching end of life. And whereas these exceptional therapy animals who partner with their human companions bring comfort and healing to those in need. And whereas we encourage more pet owners to consider becoming pet partners, volunteers to help our community by creating greater access to meaningful therapy animal visits. Now therefore, the Salt Lake County Council do hereby proclaim April 30th, 2025 as National Therapy Animal Day in Salt Lake County and encourage our citizens to celebrate our therapy animals and their human handlers. Further, I publicly salute the service of therapy animal teams in our community and in communities across the nation. Proclaimed and approved this 29th day of April, 2025.
All right. There's that. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to 13.2. Proclamation honoring the National Day of Prayer. Sponsors Councilmember Moreno. I'm a second. And Councilmember Stewart, Councilmember Stringham, and Harrison as well. Moreno, would you like to go?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to invite our friends from different faith communities into the front. We invite, come guys to the front. Don't be shy.
4 chairs.
You know, yearly we have a massive group of people from different religions and faith, but they are the last man stand.
Yes.
And we appreciate your time, guys. And I don't know if you would like to introduce yourself before I read really quick this.
Yes, my name is Harjinder Singh. We live in.
Push the button.
Oh, yeah. That's the D. Lit up green.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Okay, my name is Harjinder Singh.
Oh, you can take your
So,
finger off, as long as it's lit up. Perfect.
We living almost 15 years. So we outrage Sikh community member in the West Jordan Temple. So our priest Gurmeet Singh, Omkar Singh, and my father Balveer Singh here. So many more member want come, but the time is a little bit outstanding.
We're short-handed on time, and plus, school and a lot of things, kids, responsibilities to have. So, we're here supporting you guys and we're listening to you guys. So we appreciate your time.
Thank you for all the city council member. We learn a lot of things today. So thank you.
Yeah, I invite them, like I said, and another group of people. They have to leave for personal reasons. But I don't want to read the entire thing. I'm gonna highlight some of the few things. The National Day of Prayer was created in 1952 by a joint resolution in the United States Congress. The National Day of Prayer is a time-honored tradition observed annually on the first Thursday of May, inviting people of all faiths and background to pause and reflect through prayer, meditation, and acts of goodwill. Also, the National Day Prayer serves as opportunity to celebrate our country rich diversity of faith traditions while reaffirming the foundation values of compassion, service, and community that unite us all. Also, Salt Lake County, we are enriched by a tapestry of religion, spiritual, and secular communities, all contributing to the common good through acts of kindness, public service, and committed to justice and peace. And we honor to the power of prayer and reflection to inspire hope, foster understanding, and bring healing to our family, communities, and nation. I really appreciate the commitment of all the vibrant faith community that we have in the West Side and in the entire county. I know these individuals. They are really respectful people, and it's an honor having you here. And thank you for coming. We proclaimed today, and we celebrate the National Prayer Day. And thank you for coming.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Harjinder.
Thank you for being here. Thanks for waiting so long, too. Okay, moving on. 13.3, proclamation honoring National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Sponsors Councilmember Moreno, myself, Sheldon Stewart, and Councilmember Stringham, Councilmember Harrison, and Councilmember Winter Newton. So I don't know who's talking on this. Are you talking on this one?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Just few weeks ago, I had the visit of these great individuals, these great people. They are the head of a nonprofit organization. They're gonna tell you more about it, but it's really interesting the timing that they came to my office and make this observation. You know, I have some statistics that I would like to talk about child abuse in the United States, Utah, and Salt Lake County. For the timing, I would like to be respectful with everybody here, but it's a sensitive topic for me. I think for everybody. What we are facing right now, especially in these in different kind of communities. And when they told me about this idea and when they told me about what they do, I was very excited and also excited to hear about that. But I don't know if you would like to introduce yourself.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Juliet. I am from Venezuela, but I little speak English. Voy a decirlo en español para que sea un poco más sencillo para mí.
I want to say in Spanish because it's going to be more simple for me. For me too.
Teníamos un grupo de personas que nos habían acompañado, dado la extensión de la reunión, pues lastimosamente solo quedamos.
We have a big group of people supporting this, but they have to leave for the timing.
Agradezco profundamente la oportunidad de estar con ustedes.
I'm deeply grateful about this opportunity.
Tengo el privilegio de trabajar de la mano con niños de la comunidad de familias hispanas, en su mayoría.
I am deeply honored to work with children in the Latino community or Hispanic community in our organization.
Mi experiencia como docente es de 19 años, docente en educación inicial.
I have been a teacher for 19 years.
Y a lo largo de mi trayectoria he podido presenciar unos que otros casos de lo que venimos a hacerle frente con esta proclamación.
During my experience as a teacher, I have faced a lot of child abuse and these kind of things in the community. That's why it's important for me to come today to promote this resolution or proclamation.
Hi, my name is Abraham Zamorano. I'm from Chile. And actually, we will create this nonprofit because we have a dream for trying to help out the Hispanic people, the immigrants especially. Because when I arrived here in this country, actually I have a lot of trouble or problems for trying to get the good information, for trying to do the good things, you know, like have education, health, and actually integration too. This is the reason because we created this nonprofit for trying to help out that kind of people for actually give them a better way for trying to grow in this country, in the state too, right? So we did one proclamation for the children. We especially in the children because they are our future, and actually we all try to work in together because she have a lot of experience in them, and the 70% is working for the children's. And the other percent is because we need to work with the parents because without them we don't have nothing. We don't have any children, you know. So thank you for this time, and we will try to proclaim some words in Spanish for our community. And I don't know if it works for you. So.
You want me to ¿Me quieres traducir?
Oh, sí.
Puedes decirlo todo en español, no importa.
Okay. Buenas tardes a todos en español. Hoy nos unimos para proclamar un mensaje urgente, poderoso. Todo niño merece crecer en un hogar seguro, estable y lleno de amor. El abuso y la negligencia infantil son heridas profundas que marcan vidas para siempre. No son solo problemas familiares, son desafíos de toda nuestra comunidad. En Be Love, sabemos que prevenir el abuso infantil no es tarea de unos pocos, es una responsabilidad de todos nosotros como gobierno, escuelas, organizaciones comunitarias, iglesias, vecinos. Cada uno de nosotros tiene un papel que cumplir. Porque cuando apoyamos a las familias, Cuando fortalecemos los lazos de amor, educación y salud, construimos comunidades donde los niños pueden florecer sin miedo y pueden estar estables y tranquilos.
En este mes nacional de la prevención del abuso infantil, honramos a quienes trabajan incansablemente para proteger a los más vulnerables, trabajadores sociales, maestros, defensores y voluntarios. Pero también hacemos un llamado a cada uno de ustedes. Seamos vigilantes, seamos la voz de quien no puede hablar, seamos el abrazo seguro que tantos niños necesitan. Desde Beloved, reafirmamos nuestro compromiso de educar, integrar, sanar y amar a todos los niños de la comunidad. Que este mes y cada día renovemos nuestra promesa de construir un entorno donde cada niño, sin importar su origen, tenga la oportunidad de crecer en un hogar lleno de dignidad, seguridad y amor. Juntos podemos lograrlo.
Thank you so much for your time.
Dear colleagues, I know it's another language, but everything that they said is about the proclamation, and also they are sending this message to the Latino, those who speak Spanish in our community. But everything, like honestly, everything what they said is they take part of the proclamation to put it in that Spanish statement. I ask for my colleague Sheldon Stewart to read the proclamation.
Yeah, so I appreciate being given this opportunity. I'll go ahead and read it. I served as the chair for South Valley Services. Those of you that have been involved, they were at South Valley Sanctuary when I started there, and we went through the rebrand, but this means a lot to me. Whereas every child deserves to grow up in a safe, stable, healthy, and nurturing home free from abuse and neglect, and whereas child abuse and neglect are serious public health issues that impact thousands of children and families across the nation and here in Salt Lake County, causing long-term psychological, emotional, and physical harm. And whereas child abuse and neglect is a community responsibility, and whereas Salt Lake County is committed to supporting strong families and investing in prevention programs and services that help parents and caregivers raise children in safe, stable, and supportive environments. And whereas community partnerships between government, nonprofit organizations, law enforcement, schools, healthcare providers, faith communities, and dedicated citizens are essential in promoting the well-being of children and preventing child abuse before it occurs. Whereas during National Child Abuse Prevention Month, we recognize the tireless efforts of child welfare workers, educators, advocates, and volunteers who work every day to protect children and support families in need. And whereas it is the responsibility of every individual in our community to be vigilant and proactive in supporting children's safety, to report suspected abuse, and to be a voice for those who cannot speak for themselves. Now, therefore, Salt Lake County Council hereby declares the month of April 2025 as Child Abuse Prevention Month and encourages all residents to participate in activities that promote awareness, prevention, and healing, and to recommit to creating communities where every child can thrive in safety and love.
All right, thank you. Did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to be a sponsor of this proclamation, and thank you for your very important work in the community. I really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Can I make a comment too? I used to be on the board for Prevent Child Abuse Utah, and so this is near and dear to my heart. And appreciate people like you in the community who are doing good work. And just we know when we prevent abuse that these kids go on to have a much more successful life. And there's so many negative things that happen because of this trauma. And so, whatever we can do to prevent it is so important. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your words and all the work you're doing. So appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one more proclamation, National County Government Day proclamation. This is sponsored by Councilmember Stringham and I. I'll just quickly say that the National Association of Counties is encouraging counties across the nation to, celebrate this and bring it forward in some way. Some counties are doing projects and doing cool stuff, but we're going to do a proclamation today and keep it light. So
Yep. We did do a lot of research on the county though, so. All right, I'm going to run through this really quickly. Whereas the nation's 3,069 counties serving more than 330 million Americans provide essential services to create healthy, safe, and vibrant communities. And whereas counties fulfill a vast range of responsibilities and deliver services that touch nearly every aspect of our residents' lives. And whereas counties as intergovernmental partners enact local, state, and federal programs to address the needs of all residents. And whereas Salt Lake County and all counties take pride in our responsibility to protect and enhance the health, well-being, and safety of our residents in efficient and cost-effective ways. And whereas each year since 1991, the National Association of Counties has encouraged counties across the country to elevate awareness of county responsibilities, programs, and services. And whereas Salt Lake County, created in 1850, is the largest county in the state of Utah with a population of 1,185,238, which is the 2020 decennial census, and the 25th largest county by total area with 742.1 square miles of land area. And whereas Salt Lake County is the 37th most populated county in the United States, I don't know if any of you knew that, but I didn't, and is one of 4 counties in the Rocky Mountains to make it on the top 100 list. And whereas Salt Lake County is a highly educated area of the county with 40.3% attaining a bachelor's degree or higher in their education, also one I didn't know. Whereas Salt Lake County has a diverse population with 13,189 American Indians and Alaska Natives, 51,330 Asians, 23,474 Black or African American, 232,088 Hispanic or Latinos, 21,742 Native Hawaiians and other Pacific Islanders, 110,890 other races, and 800,914 non-Hispanic or Latino, and then 116,943 2 or more races, and then 847,970 white. And whereas Salt Lake County in its early history was home for thousands of years to indigenous cultures, later being settled by European Americans in 1847 when Mormon pioneers of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints arrived after descending what is now known as Immigration Canyon, declaring this is the right place after seeing the valley. And whereas Salt Lake County was and still is a place for technology and new advancements, starting with the special irrigation water system set up to develop agriculture in an arid and uncompromising area, to mining technologies, the artificial heart, many other advancements in technologies leading to our own silicone slopes and medical device industries, along with many other growing companies. And whereas Salt Lake County is the county seat of Utah and Salt Lake City, the capital city, resides in the boundaries, Salt Lake County was home to many of the locations for the Salt Lake City hosted 2002 Winter Olympics and the most successful Winter Olympics to that date. And whereas Salt Lake County started out with a probate court and judge in its first governing body from March 15th to 1852 to June 8th of 1896, then went to a board of county commissioners on June 8th of 1896 until January 1st of 2001. The county then changed its form of government to a council and a mayor form, with the mayor and the council positions to be decided in a partisan election, with 3 council seats elected at large and 6 elected by district. And whereas Salt Lake County is rich in its ski area, forests, lakes, and streams, outdoor recreation opportunities, and many other outdoor activities, it's become a tourist destination and the place to live for outdoor enthusiasts. And whereas Salt Lake County has world-class zoos, arts, and parks thanks to the generosity of its citizens who vote to fund the ZAP program. Whereas Salt Lake County is focused on its service to its residents and those who work and visit the county, we are always improving efficiencies in services and budgets, working hard to give top customer service, experiences, and making Salt Lake County the best place to live and work. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Salt Lake County Council does hereby proclaim April 20, 2025 as National County Government Month and encourage all county officials, employees, schools, and residents to get to know your county services and officials and find out how we serve you daily. And that is signed by all of the council members. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, wonderful. All right, thanks for reading that off. And yeah, county government is very important and impacts pretty much everybody in the county in some way. So with that said, if there's no other business, we'll adjourn.
Adjourn.
Okay, thank you.
Can we have a picture together with this group?
Of course.